ESPN presents Wednesday Night Baseball from Royals Stadium in Kansas City, Missouri. Most of you will see the Oakland A's and the Kansas City Royals. Some of you will be in Texas Stadium in Arlington, Texas, where the California Angels face the Texas Rangers. Hello once again, everyone, and welcome to ESPN's Wednesday Night Baseball. I'm John Saunders. We'll get you out to your game in just a moment. Kansas City, just their first win of the season. That was last night against the Oakland A's. The game's still to come, but right now let's take a look at the scoreboards. We'll start off in the National League. Cincinnati sweeps the Braves for the first time in 78. At Riverfront Stadium, Deion Sanders, a home run and a triple. He's on fire. Houston over Los Angeles 5-4. Dodgers have lost 5 of 6. St. Louis leading Montreal 1-0 there. Meanwhile, in the American League, Boston over Baltimore 6-5. The Jays are up 1-0. Detroit up 4-0. Mickey Tettleton with an RBI double in that game. We will keep you updated on Wednesday Night Baseball.
ESPN Major League Baseball is brought to you by American Airlines, something special in the air, and by Skin Bracer. No better way to face the day. Skin Bracer by Menon.
Early 70s, the Oakland A's won 3 consecutive world championships with names like Jackson, Blue, Bando, and Catfish Hunter. Then in the late 80s, the A's reloaded. New faces, Ken Seiko, Mark McGuire, and Dennis Eckersley. And it appeared that another dynasty was in the making. But last year, despite individual accolades, the A's fell to 4th place, 11 games out. Questions were being asked about the team's durability, character, and determination. This year, however, they appear to be challenging again, beginning the season 6-2. The word around baseball, the A's are back. ESPN's Wednesday Night Baseball from Royals Stadium in Kansas City. Second game of a 3-game set between the Oakland A's and the Kansas City Royals. Hello, everybody. Gary Thorne and Dave Campbell, and welcome. For the Kansas City Royals, what a disappointing start this season. They got their first win in 8 games last night, Dave, and all the big changes they made thus far haven't paid off.
Yeah, Hal McRae really wanted to retool his offense in the offseason, and Hal says, hey, I got the guys I wanted. Blame me if it's not working. But the guys they picked up in the deals, including McReynolds, Miller, Jeffries, and Joyner, you see what they've done. But actually, they're better than the team average, most of them, because the Royals are hitting at .195.
And as you would expect, that is dead last in the American League. Now, just the opposite is happening for the Oakland A's. A disappointing season last year. The power wasn't there for them. The pitching clearly wasn't there. This year, they look like the old A's again.
Yeah, especially with the Bash brothers leading the way. Canseco and McGuire with 9 home runs out of the 12 the A's have hit so far. They have been on an absolute roll in the early going. You see how the Bash brothers compare with the rest of the American League. Texas and Toronto with 12. Tigers with 11. Canseco and McGuire have 9. So the Bash brothers have been leading the way. They're also getting some great play from Lance Blankenship and Mike Bordick.
And here in Kansas City, after some early rain, just a little cloudy overhead right now. A very light breeze, a very summer-like day today. Temperatures up in the 70s. You see the temperature right now at 67. Humidity's up. We do have a chance of showers, and we hope those heavy thunderstorms are going to hang off for a while here tonight for this game between the A's, who are 6-2 in Kansas City. Our lineup: Ricky Henderson, just 176 in the first week. Not Lance Blankenship, 379 his average. Jose Canseco, 4 home runs already, and his partner Mark McGuire, he has 5. Carney Lansford is back in, hitting .304. He'll be followed in the lineup by Willie Wilson, who comes back home to Kansas City. The 25-year-old Scott Brocious makes the start in right field. Mike Bordick will be working tonight at shortstop, and the catcher is Scott Heeman.
Pitcher for the Royals tonight, left-hander Mark Davis, 30 years old in his 9th season. You see his numbers from his opening game of 1992. Not too good, nor was the 1991 season for Mark Davis, as he only worked 62 innings. Davis was on the DL 2 different times with hand injuries. Checking the Royals defense tonight. Greg Jeffries will be at third. David Howard at short. Terry Shumpert at second. And Wally Joyner is at first base. The outfield of Keith Miller, Brian McRae, and Kevin McReynolds. Mike McFarland will do the catching. One of the best in baseball on the defensive side. And Mark Davis will be pitching for Kansas City as they try to get going after a rather miserable 1-7 start.
That has made it really tough for the first full season. The start for Hal McRae took over the club last year, led him to a 66-58 mark. But even though it's only the first week, the heat is already on. Talking to him before the game, he said, "I'm almost glad my family's not here all the time. It makes it easier on everybody."
Yeah, I was thinking if you're Mrs. McRae, your son is hitting about 067 and your husband club is off 1-7. Probably isn't a real easy time for Hal's wife either.
Tony La Russa's club now in first place in the West half game. In the first week, they're 6-2 mark. Ricky Henderson up, Davis ready to go, and we are underway here on our ESPN Wednesday Night Baseball. These two clubs faced each other on the West Coast, and the Oakland A's won all three of those games. They came in here, and the A's spoiled the home opener against the Kansas City Royals. Monday night, they won 6-1. The Royals came back and won 3-1 last night, but had only one hit. Ron Darling had a no-hitter for the A's going into the 8th inning of that game last night. Keith Miller had an infield hit, some wild pitches, and a couple of errors, and it was done. Kansas City had their first win of the season, 3-1. There's Ronnie, who last night combined on that one hitter, but a loss for the Oakland A's. Ricky Henderson. 1 ball. 2 ball, 2 strike count on him. Davis up the middle, off his glove to short. Henderson, there'll be no play, and it'll be an infield single for Ricky.
Well, Gary mentioned Ricky off to a bit of a slow start, although 2 of his hits have been walk-off hits. In other words, he hit a 3-run homer against Kansas City in the bottom of the 13th to give Oakland a win. Also had a key double in the bottom of the 9th inning, a game against Chicago last week, and the A's walked off with a win. So his hits have been big. Ricky perched at 997 lifetime stolen bases.
Ricky has picked up 3 stolen bases. Let's keep an eye on him. You see Lance Blankenship, a very good start for the Oakland A's. Had a good spring and has continued it on. Henderson not with a big lead. The off-speed pitch misses down low, ball 1.
Gary, that's something Blankenship just has not done in the past part of his career. The last 5 years, he has been up and down between Tacoma and Oakland. The A's have long thought that he's a good-looking young player, but every time he'd get to the major league level and give him a chance, he'd kind of stumble. This year, off to a great start.
Well, one of the reasons he's been able to hit Kansas City pitching against the Royals, he's had 8 hits and 18 at-bats. The way the scheduling's done now in the major leagues, clubs face one another in these home-and-home series. They'll stay home and play 2 clubs in a 3 or 4 game series for each, and then go on the road and go play those same teams again. So teams see a lot of one another all at one time.
Yeah, and if you're the Kansas City Royals and you're slumping a bit, you don't really want to see a big offensive team like the Oakland A's, but that's the way the schedule makers got it.
Anderson not going, and the pitch misses up high, and Davis, maybe a little too concerned about Ricky at first, has taken the count to 3-0 now on Lance Blankenship.
Really an enigma, Mark Davis. Brilliant season, 1989 with the San Diego Padres. 44 saves coming out of the bullpen, virtually unhittable. Since then, he has really struggled since coming to Kansas City as a free agent.
Able to come back and get that one in at 3-1. Davis, a 9-3 loss in Seattle on the 10th. His other start, he worked 5 1/3. Gave up the 6 earned runs, 7 total on 7 hits, 4 strikeouts, 4 walks through 109 pitches. Comes back here on Blankenship, and from a 3-0 count he goes full, 3-2. Nobody out. Henderson at first base. On deck, Mr. Canseco. 31-year-old left-hander. Long time on the signs from McFarland. 3-2. Ricky goes. Ball 4. Davis is in trouble right away.
I tell you, Gary, right there, I thought Mark Davis made a mistake. He went to the slide step, which is a good idea if you think a guy's going to run, but his primary obligation was to try to throw a strike to Blankenship. On the 3-0 and 3-1 pitch, he just went to his normal rhythm. But on 3 and 2, he utilized the slide step. He rushed his delivery to the plate and missed. And now he's really getting in hot water. There's a time and a place to use that slide step. I don't think after 2 consecutive normal deliveries is the time.
Take yourself out of what's your best movement to the plate. Now he's got to face Jose Canseco. Canseco is off and flying this season, and the home runs have been there, and as a result, you're also going to get the RBIs, and that's what's happened for him. 7 RBIs for him, 9 for McGuire, 4 home runs for Canseco. And he's going for the downs right there, 1-1.
And Gary, I should explain the slide step for those viewers who might not know. Mark Davis, when he comes to his set position, his normal delivery to the plate is a rather high leg kick. Sometimes he just eliminates the high leg kick and just strides out towards home plate real quickly to try to keep the base runners from running. But again, I don't think the time he used it was a good time.
Now he's got Henderson on at second base, and Ricky Henderson doesn't mind stealing third, although here with nobody out, no reason to go for an out. Nobody covering. Davis on the spin. He looked like he was ready to release the baseball that time, but nobody had moved over to the bag.
Shumpert made a bluff. I don't know if that was a timing play or what, but Davis, you're right. He was ready to fire the ball, almost let it go to center field.
And Shumpert, the second baseman, who's moved over with Canseco up a pull hitter. 1-1. Jose takes the breaking ball. That one fooled him. He had opened up the stance and the hips before the pitch got there. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Well, when Davis had that great year in '89, he had a curveball that virtually was singing when it was breaking. If you sat at field level, you could almost hear the seams on the baseball. It had such bite to it. He hasn't had that curveball for the last 2 years consistently.
Ricky goes. They're both going down low. The throw goes to second, and they'll get the back runner. Blankenship is tossed out. McFarland to Shumpert as Henderson ends up at.
And in case you wonder about the scoring, Ricky Henderson does not get credit for a stolen base when the back end man is thrown out. So Ricky easily had third stolen. Great play by McFarland. Digs it out of the dirt. Makes a perfect throw to Shumpert, and they get Blankenship. So Ricky easily had third, but no stolen base for Ricky. Fielder's choice, and out goes Blankenship at second. Talked to a couple of people in the Royals organization, and they said Mark Davis has almost gotten to the point after 2 years of futility. He's just saying to heck with it. Now that's the great curveball. That ball had terrific bite to it. So maybe Mark Davis reached bottom and just said, hey, I'm going to cut it loose.
Henderson remains on at third base, and now it's up to Mark McGuire. Should be quite a comeback inning for Davis, who has walked one, struck out one, given up the leadoff single to Ricky Henderson. Davis's delivery to him, and Mark McGuire takes the count even. 1 ball, 1 strike.
If McGuire looks bigger, your eyes are not deceiving you. Put on about 20 pounds of muscle in the off season. Saw him parading around the clubhouse with his shirt off today, Gary. I went, holy cow, is it Hulk Hogan? He is really massive through the upper body, but so far it's paid off for him.
And he's in a great mood. He's ready to play. Down to third. That is a foul ball by Henderson on the bag side. Well, these Oakland A's, one of the reasons some of these guys may be ready to play is a lot of them are going to be free agents or potential free agents at the end, including Mark McGuire. He's one of those. So they want to put some big numbers up this year to be able to ask for big numbers on the other side again. Mark, of course, took a cut in salary. 1-2 to right field. Kevin McReynolds just lazily drifting back, hauls it in, and there is quite a comeback by Mark Davis on the mound with the help from his catcher McFarland on the throw out of Blankenship. 1 hit, 1 left on, nothing across. Designated hitter Mike McFarland is the catcher. The 1 hit last night came from Keith Miller in left field. The shortstop is David Howard, and at second base we saw put the tag on Terry Shumpert.
Pitching for the Oakland A's tonight, right-hander Joe Sluzarski, 25 years old, out of the University of New Orleans, a member of the 1988 U.S. Olympic team. He was up and down 5 times with the A's last year between Tacoma and Oakland. Checking the A's defense, a very solid group. Carney Lansford back in good health at third. Mike Bordick has played brilliantly at short in place of Walt Weiss. Lance Blankenship at second. Mark McGuire, the Gold Glove winner in '90. Ricky Henderson, Willie Wilson, Scott Brocious in the outfield. Scott Heeman gets the call behind the plate tonight with some injuries to the A's catching staff. And Joe Sluzarski to face Brian McRae.
Let's take a look at these offensive numbers, or lack thereof, for these Kansas City Royals. McRae is a switch hitter on the season. He's not had a hit batting right-handed. 0 for 5, has gone 2 for 25 from this side, and overall a very slow week for him. But as Tony La Russa loves to point out to his A's, and Hal McRae hopes Kansas City fans and players are listening, it's a long season.
Is it ever? Last year the A's started 8-1, and a certain team called the Minnesota Twins began the season 2-9, lest we forget.
Things have a way of evening themselves out as the season rolls along, and McRae certainly is going to get more than his share of base hits this season based on what we've seen in the past and the improvement at 261 last year. 8 home runs, 64 RBIs when it was done. Slaps that one just foul, and he was trying to go that way by Carney Lansford, who had moved in.
Brian did not have a good April in 1991 either. He did have the longest hitting streak in the American League later on, though, 22 games.
He really picked it up in the middle part of the season. July was his best month when he hit 298. At the end of the year, he hit 232 in September and October. 2-2 delivery by Sluzarski is grounded right back to him. And the right-hander will get the leadoff man, McRae, and there's one down. Lots of other baseball going on. Let's find out about it with John Saunders.
Budweiser takes us now to Shea Stadium. The Phillies and the Mets. Doc Gooden on the mound, coming back, of course, from the shoulder trouble. Well, it doesn't look like he has any problem there. Great breaking ball. 3 strikeouts. Didn't give up a hit until the 4th. Here in the first, Kyle Abbott to Andy Murray, who sends this long looping drive. It finds the gap, driving at 2 runs. Mets are up 5-1 in the 4th. Gary and Dave.
Thank you, and John will keep us posted here as we go along tonight. Since this one, East Coast-wise, is an hour later start, we'll have lots of finals in. Sluzarski working to Greg Jeffries, another switch hitter in this Kansas City lineup, one of those acquired, as we showed you at the top, in the New York Mets deal. He did not have a good spring and has not started out much better here in the first week of the season. 1-0 delivery to him is a strike.
Of course, the one thing the Royals envisioned with Jeffries, he is a great gap hitter. He only has 6 hits, but 5 of them are doubles, and that's what they were looking for, doubles and triples out of Jeffries. This is not a home run park.
1-1 delivery by Sluzarski is wrapped towards first, short hopped by Mark McGuire, and the first 2 are gone on ground balls.
McGuire was happy to win the Gold Glove in 1990, but disappointed he didn't get it last year, and so were the A's, the members of their staff. They thought McGuire had a better year defensively last year. Gold Glove went to another great first baseman, Don Mattingly. A lot of people thought maybe because McGuire had bad offensive numbers that he got slighted on the Gold Glove, which should not come into play, but sometimes does.
Get it done over there at first base, and should be even a little more mobile this year with the condition he's in. Wally Joyner. A decent start for him. 2 down, nobody on. Sluzarski misses up high. Al McRae before the game was talking about Wally Joyner and asked him about his role on this team now and in the future. He said the words were, "I think the torch has been passed. This is our new leader for Kansas City." With Brett's career coming down. That one is going to be stopped by Brocious. Almost. Wilson will get it back in, and Wally Joyner has himself a 2-out double.
Brocious, you can see him looking up the lights, bothered a little bit, but we could see from our angle Scott was not going to catch up with it. He was lucky to block it with his body and keep it from going to the wall. Brocious getting the call in right tonight as Tony La Russa puts Jose Canseco in the DH role. Breaking balls, probably a fork ball that Sluzarski left up, and Joyner, you can't make mistakes upstairs off speed to Wally Joyner, nor can you to most major league hitters.
Good help by center fielder Willie Wilson that time on the backup. So now with 2 down, the 3rd double of the season picked up by Joyner, and Kevin McReynolds will face Sluzarski. Left-handers last year off Slusarski hit .296. Right-handers .264. So you kind of like to get the lefties in against this right-hander. By the book, you might say, as they have better success against him. Kevin McReynolds, just the 1 RBI and 1 extra base hit thus far, and that's a double. 1-0 delivery to him. Reached for that one. Carney Lansford. And that will do it. So no runs, a hit, the double picked up by Wally Joyner, but he's left stranded at second base, and after 1 from Kansas City, no score.
League East early on this season, going head-to-head here. Pat Borders just pokes this one past Don Mattingly. John Olerud comes around to score. Candy Maldonado into third, but he's stranded there. Jays lead it 1-0. Meanwhile, the Mariners and the White Sox. Kirk McCaskill on the mound facing Ken Griffey Jr., his second home run of the year. It's out of there a long way with a 2-run shot. They lead it by 2 in the 4th. Here in Dave.
And back here as the fountains bloom forward there in the outfield. Kansas City, no score at the end of the first. This beautiful ballpark. There's those great waterfalls here in the complex, of course. Arrowhead Stadium behind us as we look out from behind home plate. And a very loyal following of baseball fans always here in Kansas City, and they have an opportunity to see their club in 10 early season games here. This is a 10-game homestand the Royals are on in 11 days. Opened up against these Oakland A's in the 1-1 series. And home plate umpire Larry Barnett got whacked on the hand right there. The ball was handed back to him. He's shaking it off. Here's Carney Lansford. Are the A's ever happy to see this guy back? Snowmobile accident. Christmas before last kept him out virtually all of last year. Played only 5 games. Got a .292 career hitter. He wasn't with you for the entire season. That's a pretty darn good third baseman.
He really tried to make a valiant comeback last year. He did come up for 16 at-bats, but realized it wasn't in the cards, so he shut it down the rest of the year.
Off to a good start here this year, although not tonight. 1 out in the second inning. Play made by Wally Joyner at first base.
Gary, you talked about the loyal fans here in Kansas City. This really was the model of all models for expansion franchises. Came into the league in 1969, and then in the 70s and 80s, finished first or second in the division 14 times out of 20 years. That's almost unbelievable. First really down spell this franchise has had since 1985. No division title. 2 consecutive 6th-place finishes. So this is really the first down period these fans have had to endure.
And then made the changes we talked about to try and pump it up this season with new people in the lineup. And one of the changes was that Willie Wilson isn't there anymore. He's at the plate in another uniform. 14 seasons with the Kansas City Royals for Willie Wilson. And now he'll come off the bench, do some spelling of regulars in the lineup when necessary, and get his playing time for the Oakland A's, and fouled off Mike McFarland.
Looks like Mark Davis has come up with a pretty good changeup. He was basically a fastball curveball pitcher when he was a relief specialist, but now in the starting role, he got McGuire to fly out to right field to end the first inning on a changeup, and McGuire kind of looked mystified by the pitch.
He worked on it all last season. Did not get the good control with it, though. 1-2 to second base, right at Shumpert, and Wilson is retired. 2 down here in the second inning. A right at him ball right there. Well, they need him as part of this rotation in Kansas City to try and rejuvenate a pitching staff which last season ended up in the league 6th at 3.92. Needing some starters who can give them some innings to get to a pretty decent bullpen.
Talk about the best laid plans. We mentioned Mark Davis, 44 saves in 1989. Jeff Montgomery and Steve Farr, who were here in Kansas City, had 36. That was 80 saves between the 3 of them. You'd think, wow, we got the ultimate closeout artist, a trio of them here in the bullpen. The next year, the Royals would last in the American League in saves with 33. Go figure.
Just when you think you got the answers down. 0-2 count here, 2 down, nobody on. Scott Brocious, who has 1 for 8 against the Royals thus far this season, reached for that Mark Davis delivery. Shumpert will make the play over to Wally Joyner, and a good inning for Davis again as he retires the side in order. No score. Sunday night Baseball coming up right here on ESPN, and Joe Morgan and John Miller will be there to bring that one to you. See Mr. Strawberry at work again in a matchup by a couple of clubs who may meet another in all kinds of interesting circumstances. Dodgers and Braves.
How about Deion Sanders?
Man, oh man, play this game, Deion. Swung on and missed by Mr. Brett. Deion Sanders is hitting the long ball. He's hitting for average. He's stealing some bases. He's playing a great defensive outfield.
Putting the thrill back in triple. Kind of reminds me of Willie Davis going from home plate to third base. Another Willie Wilson doesn't have to take a back seat in the triple department either, but Deion can flat motor.
George Brett waiting. Off the fist down the left field line. Not deep. Henderson gets there and puts it away. Ricky had a lot of ground to cover. He was swung around towards center. He banged the knees on the carpet and got over there near the line.
Well, Stats Inc., a company that we do a lot of business with and gives us a lot of our statistical information, has what they call a zone rating. The accuracy, well, it's kind of subjective. But Ricky Henderson easily has outdistanced all the rest of the major league left fielders the last 3 years in what they call zone rating. He went a long ways to catch that ball. Slower-footed left fielder would not have gotten to it.
Speed comes in handy defensively as well as on the base paths. Slusarski getting the first out. Mike McFarland. He's had a 2 for 13 against Oakland pitching thus far this season. Nobody on Kansas City has been able to do anything against the A's pitching. The A's have won 4 out of the 5 games these teams have played already. Kansas City has scored 12 runs in those 5 games. Only 10 earned. The ERA is 1.88 by the A's against Kansas City. That's a tough start. McFarland to center. Wilson's got it. 2 down here in the second. John Saunders.
Deion Sanders, you guys mentioned him and just how hot he has been. Had a home run today. Also his 5th triple. This unorthodox, though. Glenn Braggs and Barry Larkin collide. The ball pops loose. Larkin left the game with a bruised arm and a twisted knee. Back to you.
5 triples. Holy cow. Only in the first week of the season.
Major League record's 36 by Owen Wilson in a year. Deion's on a pace to shatter it.
American League, they have 5 players, 11 players with 1 triple, tied for the lead. Here is Keith Miller. Slusarski quickly has taken care of 2 on fly balls. Miller last night hit one to short that ended up being a hit. There was some discussion whether or not it should have been a hit. It ended up being the only one the Royals had in the game. Talking with some of the press people and with Tony La Russa, Tony said there was no doubt in my mind it was a hit. Off Darling on the ground ball to short. Slusarski going outside, misses. 2 balls, no strikes.
Yeah, Bordick had to range a long ways to his left. Keith Miller was fooled on the pitch, so he was leaning over the plate running to first, and he's got great speed anyway. Had Bordick come up with a totally clean and made a miraculous play, it might have been bang bang, but Bordick foot stumbled. He lunged for the ball, got it in the webbing of his glove, and then he lost his footing a little bit. And by the time he made the throw, no chance.
Miller has 1 extra base hit thus far this season, and that is a double. He has been given the job in left field, and the opportunity, as you heard Hal McRae say earlier, perhaps, that he's going to stay and play. There's Ronnie, who pitched an outstanding game last night, but unable to come away with a victory. Non-decision in it. Honeycutt came on in relief. Strike in there. He was aiming it in. 3-1.
I tell you, Darling has pitched 2 brilliant ball games for the A's. Mike Moore is really on his feet again after having a great 1991 season. If they can get Stu on track, who pitched well after giving up 6 runs in the 2nd inning against the White Sox in his last outing, shut him out the last 7 innings, get Welch back, look out for the A's.
They got the tools. La Russa said before the game, I asked him how Stewie was throwing, and he says Stewart just needs to have a couple of good outings where he gains his confidence back. Tony said if he can get that, he'll be as good as he ever was, because he said there's nothing wrong with his pitches, there's nothing wrong with the way he's throwing. He wasn't used to that bad season last year and didn't quite know how to react to it.
Well, they retooled some things with Stewart. Dave Duncan said for a couple of years American League hitters have been getting the pitches and Stewart was tipping them off, and so they've altered his windup. And he said that in the past people were just totally laying off his forkball and waiting for the fastball, and when they knew it was coming they were just hammering on it. So They hope they've corrected the flaw in Stewart's delivery that allowed opposing batters and especially players on the bench to see what was coming. And they were relaying that to the hitters.
Let's follow that along and see how Stewart ends up doing in his starts here in the first part of the season. 3-2 delivery to Miller. He stays alive, fouling off Slusarski to hold the count at 3-2.
I'm keeping my eye on Mark Davis tonight, too, because Pat Dobson, the pitching coach here last year, felt that he had detected something where Davis was tipping off his pitches as well. Haven't really seen anything so far. Maybe he's corrected that, but we'll keep our eye on Mark when he gets back out on the mound.
2 down, nobody on, no score. Bottom half of the second inning here in Kansas City. 25-year-old Joe Slusarski, 1-0, going after his second win. Has the 3-2 count here on Miller. Gets it in there, and Miller gets it out there. Just went with the ball, and that's what Miller does best. He is a spray type hitter with some power, but he's not afraid to put the ball the other way, and he gets a 2-out single.
Also a threat to run in this situation. 2 outs. Keith Miller can steal a base. Gary said he'll just take that high fastball and serve it out to right field. Goes with the pitch. Nice piece of hitting by Keith Miller.
So the Royals have their second hit, the other the double by Joyner. Both of them have come with 2 down. And now we will see David Howard stand in. This is the shortstop, who is a switch hitter for the Kansas City Royals. Miller, not a big lead at first.
Gary, Hal McRae was talking to the media before the game yesterday. That was before they were 1 hit, but they obviously are not hitting. And Hal said, look, I'm going to stay with the lineup. And the other thing we're going to try to do, as long as we're not hitting, we're going to try to run our way out of this. Pretty good team speed. So it would certainly be a situation where Keith Miller might want to go here.
There he goes. Outside. Throw down is not in time. On the tag put on by Bordick. Throw by Scott Heeman. Pretty good throw and a pretty close play at second base. Dale Ford making the call.
Last night, Ricky Henderson appeared to have a base stolen, only to get waved out. It looked like that time Miller was out from the naked eye. Let's see on the replay if we can pick anything up. Scott Heeman, who's getting his second start as a catcher. He threw out 2 out of 3 White Sox, and he might have gotten the hand in. Dale Ford's got his backside in that view. Does the hand get in first? Boy, that is close.
He's 3 for 3 now, Dave.
Yeah, tag was on the wrist. The hand was on the base about simultaneously. You can't argue with the call.
Well, runner in scoring position, the 1-0 delivery. Here's where you need the big hit. Howard being called on to get it with Miller on at second base and 2 down. Miller will take off, of course, on anything put in play here.
Of course, in the American League, once you get past that leadoff man in the first inning, you start looking at your speed guys, and they utilize them in the 8, 9, and 1 position. David Howard batting 8th, Terry Shumpert Knight and Brian McRae hitting first. Those guys are 6 for 65 right now. That is 0-9-3. So you wonder where some of the major lack of productivity has been coming. That 8, 9, and 1 hole have just been totally void for the Royals.
Howard hit only .216 and 236 at-bats last year with 1 home run. Has the runner at second. 2 down, 1-1 count, no score. Howard to left field, gets the base hit. Miller makes the turn. Ricky was in close. Henderson's got a shot at the plate. It's blocked. Bounces back to the backstop. On his way to third base is David Howard. Kansas City leads 1-0.
The Royals are starting to catch a few breaks. It looked like that play was going to be very close at the plate. I think it hit right on a seam around home plate and kicked straight up in the air. They got some breaks last night in the 8th inning, and David Howard just serves this to left, and without having too much power, Ricky was playing him close. He's definitely got a shot at Keith Miller, but what does this ball hit? Right where the carpet and dirt join, and it goes straight up like a kangaroo hopping right over Scott Heeman's head. So the Royals are starting to get a few breaks that they didn't get early.
That ball to second base will be hauled in by Blankenship, and Shumpert is retired. Call it a single. Second on the throw, and the third on an error charge to Henderson. They'll change that. Credit David Howard with the RBI, his third of the season. An error on Ricky Henderson allowing Howard to move over to third base. So it's a run, a hit, an error, and one left on in the second inning.
One of those no fair errors that players get now and then. Sometimes an outfielder makes a perfect throw to a base and hits the runner in the back sliding in. It bounces away, and yeah, the outfielder gets the air. Nobody ever said baseball was fair all the time.
No, but it does even things out there, don't you think?
No.
No, you don't think so?
No, if it evened out, I would have hit 320.
No, I won't argue with you on that one. I was going to say the cream usually rises to the top, but I'll let that go and not make that point. Pitch is called strike, 1-1.
See if we can pick up what this thing hits. Ricky throws a perfect one-hop strike towards the plate, except it hippity hops. Looked like the Energizer bunny going over Scott Heeman.
That was a cannon shot off that seam, wasn't it? 1 ball, 2 strike count. Mike Bordick, Scott Heeman, and the top of the order, Ricky Henderson against Mark Davis. Bordick getting the opportunity to play some baseball now. He's been at short and second over the last couple of seasons with Walt Weiss out of there. He's at shortstop. Fouls that one off, and it's 2-2.
Really has filled in nicely at both ends for Weiss, offensively and defensively. Of course, my partner's a little prejudiced.
Where did he go to school?
He and Billy Swift are Gary Thorne's 2 favorite players out of the University of Maine.
And that's too short. Oh, fill the steins, Mike Bordick. He's retired. 1 down, John.
Twins and the Brewers with a little hip-hop play here. Chili Davis at the plate. Right back to Ricky Bones. Grabs it. And Kirby Puckett is stuck in nowhere land. Double play. Franklin Stubbs providing the offense here. Sends this one. Shane Mack is back on it, but over his head and off the glass. Robin Young comes in to score. Milwaukee up 2-1 in the 5th. Back to you.
Franklin Stubbs, another guy who, coming off a bad year, decided to do something about it, has dropped 25 pounds, and the Brewers think that he's swinging the bat much better this year. Cecil Fielder dropped about 25 and said he really feels like it's quickened up his bat if it had to get any quicker.
See the numbers from AAA for Scott Heeman. And he dropped the 25, but I think he put it all back on in his arms and shoulders. Holy, is he ever massive up top. Stronger than ever, if that's possible. Scott Heeman, 26-year-old, who last season played 23 games, 7 the season before that, and 4 the season before that. So not a lot of major league experience, even though he's had a total now of 6 years of professional baseball.
He's a former #1 draft choice of the A's, and they like him because of his versatility. He played all infield positions last year at Tacoma as well as catch. And in this day and age where you're trying to keep salaries down a little bit, you'd love to have a versatile guy that can play for the minimum salary.
Yeah, that's right. Seeing a little of that, aren't we? 1-2 pitch. Behind first. Could be trouble. Second baseman dropped it. Shumpert couldn't play it. Heeman's on at second base, and you could see that coming. Kevin McReynolds, the right fielder, did not get a big jump on that ball, and he kept looking in for help, and Shumpert had a long way to go and a very tough angle.
Well, we talked about that outfield speed. McReynolds doesn't run quite as well as he used to, whereas we saw Ricky Henderson come so far, and Shumpert with that ball coming back towards fair territory. You just see McReynolds coming into the picture right now. So a double for Heeman. Scott will take it. And back to the top of the order with Ricky Henderson as the A's try to get even here.
That will be his first double and his second hit of the year. So Heeman on with 1 down, and here comes Ricky. He'd like a little payback right here with the Royals leading 1-0. Chance to poke across that tying run with a base hit. He singled in the first.
Tell you, Tony La Russa had a long meeting with Ricky this spring, and even though Ricky's not hitting right now, I think that he is going to have a pretty good year. And I'm not privy to the conversation, but I think it went something like, Ricky, you're coming off a pretty rough year. Your contract's up after next year. If you want to stay in Major League Baseball and get the big bucks, you got to start putting the numbers back up, pal, because nobody's going to pay on your reputation.
And Tony can say exactly those sorts of things in a way that are said much like you just said them. Tony has that relationship with players. There's no BSing that goes on between Tony and his ball players. They got something to say, they come in. He's got something to say, he goes out.
Tony says, I have the power of the lineup card. And if you don't play, you can't put the numbers up.
Ricky waited on that inside corner strike. 3 balls, 1 strike, 1 out. Heeman on at second base. Scott Heeman, not great speed at second. Bear that in mind if Ricky should get a base hit into the outfield.
I think the fact that 12 of the A's will be eligible for free agency might have something to do with getting them a little more focused this year.
Does do that. They want to check it first whether or not he went around. The answer is no. And Ricky Henderson has drawn the walk. So there are runners on at first and second now. Again, Mark Davis in trouble. Don't forget our Friday night doubleheader coming up. The New York Mets and the Montreal Expos. Jerry Royce and I will be there in Montreal to bring you that one. Bobby Bonilla, a couple of home runs in his first game for the Mets. And at 10:30 the second half, Dave Campbell will be joined by Steve Physioc in San Francisco. Cincinnati Reds and the San Francisco Giants. Our doubleheader coming up on Friday. 1-0 Kansas City lead here. Oakland A's have 2 on and 1 out. Right back to the mound. Davis waiting. Howard, the relay throw. Not in time. Holding on at third base is Heeman.
Gary, we've seen the last 2 nights. Pitchers sometimes get through the monotonous drills of spring training. They call it pitchers fielding practice. But last night, Rick Honeycutt really made 2 major mistakes on bunt plays that cost the A's a game. Right now, this is a dead double play ball that Mark Davis kind of double clutches going to second, double clutches. Howard was there. Doesn't make a real smooth throw. And what you have right now, instead of a double play and out of the inning, all of a sudden now you're in a situation where Jose Canseco could turn on one and the score would be 3-1. You got to make the plays.
Let's see if the Oakland A's can take advantage of it. Canseco unable to convert his first time up. The strikeout with a runner in scoring position. On the season now he's 1 for 9 with runners in scoring position.
I will say one thing in Davis's defense after this pitch, and that is that David Howard, if he was on the cover, was not too quick getting there. And if that's the case, you've got to play closer to the bag. Double play depth means just that. You've got to be able to get to the bag. And if Mark Davis was waiting for Howard to get there, then it was Howard's fault.
I kind of thought Howard was trying to time it coming to the bag. Canseco chops it down to third. That's going to be trouble. Jeffries the pickup. The running throw is not in time. An infield single. And an RBI for Jose Canseco. Scott Heeman scores. And the game is tied at 1. And as Dave said, the failure to make the double play matters.
Well, it's a little thing so often, Gary, and I know you're aware of that. But again, last night, Honeycutt not being able to handle 2 bunts, gift wrapped a game for the Royals. The Royals failed to turn the double play. You know, this ball, I don't know if Jeffries lets it go if it has a chance of going foul, but I didn't think he had much of a shot at Canseco. That's hindsight.
8 RBIs now for Canseco. McGuire, a towering fly ball to left. Miller makes the play, and that'll do it. But the A's are able to come back in the 3rd inning to pick up a run on 2 hits, and they've tied this up at 1.
Board for Milwaukee figures he has a chance to move around to 3rd here. Paul Molitor, and Munoz comes up with a great grab, and then Pedro guns it back to 1st, and Fletcher had no shot to get back on the good D. It's still a 1-run game. Gary and Dave.
Yeah,
Phil Garner's got those Brewers running. What,
yes,
20 stolen bases in the first 7 games?
Does look at former Kansas City Royal Kevin Seitzer hitting .417 with Milwaukee. We were talking about the offense the Brewers have been able to put up. They love to have him back right now, at least for the moment.
Is that rubbing salt in the wound
no,
a little bit? No, I mean, I was thinking that when I saw that today too, with Jeffries struggling, Shumpert struggling, all of a sudden Seitzer hitting .417. Then on the other side of the coin, Saberhagen hasn't been too spectacular in his first 2 starts for the Mets, but somehow I think he'll get better.
I don't know, though. This is that bad year, the odd even. He has one of the most unusual records in the history of Major League Baseball. He's good in, I can't remember. Which one's he good in?
The odd.
The odd years, and the even years, his record is a disaster. And this is one of those bad years for him. 1 ball, 1 strike on McRae. Takes the pitch inside. He grounded out his first time up. He's gone only 2 for 21 against the A's. The games played thus far this season, so that sure hasn't helped the average. Carney Lansford has moved in at 3rd base, a good 2 steps in front of the bag. And McRae doesn't care. He goes to the gap. That, if it gets by, is a chance for a triple. 410 feet away. Wilson picks it up. The relay throw to Bordick. Throw coming on to 3rd. A stand-up triple for Brian McRae.
of the impressive things that we talked about Deion Sanders is that he has 5 triples in ballparks that aren't triple parks in Atlanta, and he had 3 in Cincinnati. This, on the other hand, is a great triples park. You hit it in the gap here, you have any speed at all, you're going to run for a while. McRae goes down and gets a low breaking pitch and just golfs it into the alley.
That'll be his first triple of the season. Nobody out. And now Jeffries with the RBI chance. The switch hitter grounded out his first time up. Infield will play back except at third in this 1-1 game here in the 3rd inning. Everybody else deep.
You see the vestiges of the afternoon showers. They had the infield covered, but the outfield pretty damp, and that makes the ball really skid in the outfield as well.
Slosarski misses away. 2 balls, no strike. He'd just as soon have the ball hit down to third, working away on Jeffries, because then Carney Lansford, if he could get it, would have a potential play at the plate. 2 balls, no strikes, nobody out. Center field, that'll get it home. McRae tagging. Wilson. There's no play at the plate. RBI for Greg Jeffries and a 2-1 Royals lead.
Well, the Royals may not be doing too much hitting, but for the 2nd day in a row, Jeffries delivers a sacrifice fly, and the Royals are trying to utilize the speed. So they forged a 2-1 lead, doing basically what Hal McRae said they were going to try to do, and that's crawl, kind of, crab along and just make something happen.
2 RBIs on the season, both on the sac flies for Jeffries. Now the bases are empty, 1 out, and Wally Joyner, who had a double his first time up. Slosarski in with it. 2 runs, 4 hits for the Royals. Slosarski had an interesting and almost disastrous spring. He was pitching extremely well, and then he developed some poisoning in his hand. One day he got cactus spurs, touched a cactus spur, and ended up with some of those fine points going into his hand. It poisoned on him, his pitching hand, and he ended up having to shut it down towards the end of spring training. That's a base hit into center field. Wally Joyner's 2 for 2, a double and a single. Slosarski, though, is back now, and so is John Saunders.
Phillies in the Mets, and Dwight Gooden is rolling along here. 6 strikeouts through 6 innings, giving him up just 2 hits. John Kruk, about a 400 hitter before that. 5-1 is the score. Of course, you can see the Mets and the Phillies here on ESPN Friday night. Back to you.
The Mets won't be happy to see Doug Gooden putting up some numbers again.
Whoa. He's had 2 good outings so far.
Wally Joyner's on at first base, and Kevin McReynolds, who grounded out his first time up, stands in with 1 down. Royals with their 2nd run in here, leading 2-1.
You a little surprised how quickly he came back after having shoulder surgery? I thought it would be May or June at the earliest.
Yes, in the sense of medically. No, in the sense of Gooden. I don't think they were going to be able to hold Doc down. The spring training, he just refused to stand around. He wasn't going to wait. That can be foolish if you end up obviously re-injuring, but he said he felt so good and worked so hard conditioning that shoulder that he was ready to go, and the speeds convinced the staff he was right. Rosas puts it away and right. McReynolds is retired. He's 0 for 2. Joyner goes back to the bag, and there are 2 down.
Well, those 2 guys standing together there, Wally Joyner and Mark McGwire. There were rumors last year at the end of the season they were going to be traded for each other. McGwire happy he stayed in Oakland, although he did say the thought of going back to where he was raised, Southern California, was intriguing. The Joyner saga, pretty well documented. Guy who put up big numbers, but evidently could not get together on a contract with the Angels. Came over here on a 1-year deal.
They are happy to have him and hope to keep him. He's on at first, 2 down. Brett. Slosarski missing down low for a ball.
My understanding is this ball club could be for sale. Mr. Ewing Kaufman, of course, has been a great owner here, but could be on the market. So you never know what the long-range financial situation is for this club.
Once the sale rumors start, things get frozen. Grounded towards second base. Blankenship will get the out at first to McGwire to take care of Brett, who's 0 for 2. But leadoff triple by Brian McRae, and the sacrifice fly by Greg Jeffries have put the Royals back on top. 2-1. You stick with your players, bad start and all.
You can't lead the cavalry if you look funny sitting on a horse. So I have to stay composed. I have to be supportive at this point of the season. Stay by my guys. I'm willing to go down with these guys. If it means me losing my job, I'll lose my job. I'm going to stick with these guys, and I'll go down with these guys. I believe in these guys.
All right, now he's up with them. They've got a 2-1 lead, and Davis gets the first out on Carney Lansford attempt to lay one down for a base hit. But Carney wasn't exactly motoring down to first base, was he?
Nah, I mean, he's still, you know, probably having a little bit of problems with the knee. He did not play last night. He's been rehabbing it. Didn't get that bunt anywhere near where he wanted to.
Really hobbled down there. Carney's the first out here in the fourth inning for the A's. 2 runs, 5 hits for the Royals. 1 run, 3 hits for Oakland. Canseco, the lone RBI for the Oakland A's. Kansas City Royals, Jeffries an RBI, and David Howard picked one up. Wilson lined out to second base his first time up. Oakland A's last season against left-handers ended up 26-16 against left-handed starters. They hit .261 off the lefties and .244 off right-handers. And that would figure with this big thump they've got right-handed in the lineup. Shallow center. McRae, long way, scooped it. And he's out. Willie Wilson retired on an outstanding play by Brian McRae.
Hal saying, well, you know, the kid made a nice play, but quite frankly, he took one step back on it. He misjudged the ball. Now comes on. Good hustle also by Dale Ford right out on top of it. Ford about 5 feet to your left, but he got right out there. And Brian McRae, who is a superb defensive center fielder, takes a hit away from the former center fielder of the Royals, Willie Wilson.
So Davis quickly has 2 down, nobody on. Scott Brocious up, grounded out his first time up.
Mark Davis working at a pretty quick pace. He's been through 3 pitching coaches the last 3 years, and each one of them's had some different ideas. I'm surprised he's doing so well today. That's a good curveball. Pat Dobson last year was trying to get him to slow down a little bit because he was up with everything, and he said his arm was never catching up with his body. Guy Hansen, the new pitching coach, says just be comfortable, do what you can, and your arm will catch up. Right now it's working, but he's got to see if he can get in some kind of a consistent groove with each start.
Well, he's in it right now. He retires the side in order, picking up his second strikeout. Threw only 7 pitches to get it done with a little help behind him.
Goes for the gold in the cold in New York. The Shark will meet the Admiral in San Antonio and will visit what amounts to Mike Tyson's new home. I'm Keith Olbermann. Join me and Dan Patrick on SportsCenter right after the game.
And no, we did not provide them with the signs. They brought them themselves. They knew it before I did.
They know how to get on.
They know what'll get them on TV. They had them in the right order, too. Mike McFarland standing in against Joe Slusarski. First ball hitting down the right field line. Could be trouble near the pole. Foul ball. 3:30 down the line, and he almost had one. Great to have you with us on ESPN's Wednesday Night Baseball here in Kansas City, where the Royals have a 2-1 lead, trying to get their second win of the season against these Oakland A's, who are 6-2 coming into tonight's game. Gary Thorne, Dave Campbell, and our crew, as we are in the bottom half of the 4th inning. Joe Slusarski inside to him, working against Mark Davis. And he got him. So a hit batter, or uniform maybe.
Yeah, only the ears of the home plate umpire Larry Barnett were probably able to detect this one. Just ticked the sleeve going by. And Barnett says take your base. No argument from Scott Heeman. So Slusarski, who saw McFarland lean across the plate to hit one to right field, said I think I'm going to back you off, but got Mike instead.
2-1 lead, and Royals get the leadoff man on here in the 4th inning. Second inning, they've had the leadoff man on, second consecutive. Slusarski against Keith Miller, and it takes a little too long. Miller had a single and scored in the second.
Well, if McFarland's going to be going, it'll definitely be a hit and run. Mike only one stolen base last year, but again, listening to Hal McRae, he said until we get out of these offensive woes, we're going to have to try to manufacture some things.
Miller used to hitting in this kind of situation. He hit in the number 2 spot for the Mets a number of times, and he can take the ball the other way. As a result of that, Slusarski wants to keep McFarland leaning towards first and not second.
Pretty quick move by Slusarski. Maybe he's been studying at the Bob Welch School of Pickoff Moves, who himself studied at the Don Drysdale School of Balk-type pickoff moves.
So long as it works, take it where you can get it from. Right? Miller's first pitch to him on the outside corner. Strike 1.
Speaking of Bob Welch, things sounding good. Bob down in Arizona pitched a couple of days ago, a controlled game through 33 pitches. Tony La Russa said everything great. He'll throw again on the side and in a normal 5-day rotation, try to get his pitch count up. But they say all the ailments that were bothering Welch in spring training, the knee, the shoulder, the back, all of them have gone by the wayside. It's just a matter of getting him back in condition right now.
0-1 the count. Runner not going. Down low and blocked by Heeman. Oakland A's have had to start the season with some people like Welch and like Weiss on the DL. The advantage to this, as Tony La Russa said before the game, is you get people in who will have experience as the season goes along. They get it early.
Yeah, Dave Henderson, they don't know when they're going to get David back. He's just been beset with injuries ever since the early part of spring training.
Hendu is with the club, but not able to do a whole lot. Back to the bag again. Slusarski concerned with McFarland. 1-1 count.
I miss Hendu because he enjoys playing this game so much, and I think it rubs off on his teammates. It's just an infectious way he plays. It is just terrific.
He is one of those guys you love to be around for the baseball stories and antics in the clubhouse.
I loved last year when he made the All-Star team. When Ricky was introduced to the starting lineup, he went trotting out, and Dave Henderson was batting later, and he came out and everybody was cheering him, and they had the microphones out close to the foul line, and Hendu went by Ricky and said, "They don't boo the Hendu."
Runner goes, swung on a miss. The throw is really in time. Tag put on by Lance Blankenship, and McFarland on the hit and run is caught stealing. Miller had a nasty pitch to try and do something with and couldn't.
Well, he had the count favorable, a ball and a strike. Again, McRae going to try to make something happen for his team, and that is just really a difficult pitch to handle. Miller looking for something out away in 1, 2, 3, 4, and if you're Dale Ford, yeah, you can call that one at home quite easily.
Heeman making the throw down, Blankenship putting the tag on, and there's one away, and the count is 1 ball 2 strikes now on Keith Miller. And of course he gets the base hit. So he's 2 for 2 with a couple of singles. He's going to go for second base. Ricky Henderson's throw, not in time. Henderson got caught flat-footed, and Keith Miller's at second base.
Well, sometimes you wonder why a guy like Keith Miller is in the lineup, but he can ignite things, make things happen. He figured Ricky would be taking his sweet time policing it up. And Keith Miller just runs flat hard right out of the box. Right now he's thinking, if Ricky bobbles or takes his time, I'm going. He looks up, Ricky taking his time, I'm going for it. You make that play by running hard to first, and those are the kind of things that inspire your teammates and the fans when your club's not going very well.
Now David Howard, who had an RBI in the second inning, talking to Adrian Garrett, the third base coach, with Miller on at second and only 1 out. Ricky Henderson doesn't generally charge the baseball when it's a ground ball base hit. He will wait for the ball to come to him. Scouts tell players that. Players know that. Miller did and took advantage of it.
If you're Hal McRae, you got to love it. If you're Tony La Russa, you got to be kind of going.
That's giving away a base. Bordick moves in behind Miller at second base. The shortstop will hold the runner close. David Howard, the switch hitter, batting left here. And Slusarski missing down low, ball 1. No walks, no strikeouts. Slusarski has given up 6 hits, and the 2 runs picked up by the Royals. You have Shumpert, the number 9 hitter, on deck. Miller does have speed. Had a stolen base in the second inning. His career, he's 77% successful in stealing bases. That one down the left field line is a foul ball.
I tell you, Mike Bordick's giving up an awful lot of room. He's trying to hold Miller close to second base so that he won't be able to steal, but he's giving up virtually the entire left side of the infield, and David Howard's trying to slap it through there. You see Bordick now, he was playing about 5 steps closer to second base. You see him starting to edge over there. Lansford's off the line, but that's an awful lot of ground for Kearney to have to try and cover.
Batting left-handed last year, Howard 37% of the time would put the ball to left when he hit it in the outfield, and 36% to right, so he is definitely a threat to go to left field. 1 down, 1-1 to him. In the dirt, stopped by Heeman. 2 balls, 1 strike. A 2-1 lead for the Kansas City Royals. They have had to manufacture runs. And thus far this season, a little easier tonight with the base hits, though, picking up 6. But still only up by 1.
Bordick creeping in.
2-1, 3-1.
David Howard, the son of a major leaguer, his dad Bruce pitched for the White Sox back in the 50s and 60s, won 25 games over a 5-year period. Pretty good defensive player. He'll have a spot for a long time if he can pick up the offense.
Slusarski, the sign from Heeman, with a 3-1 count. And he missed that one by a lot. So there are 2 on with 1 away. John Saunders.
Angels and the Rangers. Julio Valera on the mound facing Jeff Hewson. And he just hammers this one to the corner in right field. Ivan Rodriguez around to score. Right now, Texas with a 3-0 lead at home against the California Angels. Right now, let's take you back to Gary and Dave.
I don't think Texas liked the fact they only got 2 runs the last 2 nights. They may take it out on somebody tonight.
Middle of that lineup, if they're able to get it all out there one time with Franco missing in it, they are going to generate some tremendous offense. Dave Duncan has gone out to talk now to Slusarski. His first walk given up to Howard. Runners at first and second and 1 out.
Well, the A's bullpen busy. That is Jeff Parrott, who has pitched a couple of times, a free agent signed by the A's. I think the text of David Duncan's talk with Joe Slusarski was, hey, if that's George Brett with an open base, maybe pitch carefully to him, but you don't pitch carefully to David Howard. I don't think he liked the fact that he walked a guy who only has 2 hits this year.
The A's, of course, will play for 2 here now. Shumpert, who grounded out his first time up, 1 for 11 against the A's this season. Batting just 150 on the year. He's got an RBI opportunity right here.
Don't be surprised if McRae goes back to the hit and run again. Just because he got 1 guy thrown out doesn't mean he's going to pack it away for good.
Slusarski forcing that one in the strike zone, and Shumpert making him throw 1. Strike 1.
One of the things you can do by putting a hit and run on, you really create some holes in the infield for a guy who's slumping like Shumpert to maybe find a hole. Count not favorable right now, though.
Try and get everybody moving at once. That one is a fair ball down the line in left field. Keith Miller coming home. Ricky Henderson over to get it. Henderson bobbles it. Will that allow another run? Howard's coming to the plate. There'll be no play. 2 runs in. A 4-1 Royals lead.
Well, we talked earlier about the fact the 8, 9, and 1 hitters for the Royals only had 6 hits through 8 ball games. They have 3 hits tonight, a triple by Brian McRae, an RBI single by David Howard, and a 2 RBI double by Terry Shumpert. So that part of the lineup that wasn't producing is coming through. Ricky tries to pin it in the corner, but it gets away from him. That allows Howard to score, but it'll be a double. And I think that might be it for Slusarski, as Carney Lansford is in trying to buy some time on the mound to make sure Parrott gets heated.
Not a good inning for Ricky Henderson, and he had an error charged to him in the second inning. This time Miller took advantage of him and going down to second base. Miller, Howard have scored. Schumpeter's on at second base, and Slusarski's going to be out of the game. For Terry Schumpert, his first 2 RBIs of the season, and the Royals bats have come alive. They've taken the lead of 4-1 and chased the A's starter. 4 runs, a season high for them, Dave. So they got it going.
Yeah, and they finally got production out of those 3 guys we were talking about. That may give the rest of the lineup a jump start. Jeff Parrott off to an excellent start with the Oakland A's. Journeyman reliever, 30 years old. Had some good years with Montreal. The Phillies spent some time with Atlanta, divided the season between Atlanta and Richmond last year, and the A's signed him to a free agent contract after he was invited to spring training. He's made the most of his opportunity.
Now he's got a runner on at second base, 1 out. A couple of runs in here. Slusarski responsible for Schumpert, the runner at second base, who picked up the 2 RBIs with his double, and McRae, who tripled and scored. Heading to third, the base runner, throw down to Lansford, is not in time. And they are running Schumpert a stolen base.
Well, not a surprise at all. We talked about the fact McRae said he was going to try to jumpstart his club by running the bases. Last night he didn't have much of a chance as Ron Darling no-hit his club through 7 innings. But you can see Schumpert, he's starting to edge off, and the minute Parrott turned towards the plate, almost no shot for Scott Heeman. He makes a pretty good throw, but even a perfect throw in the bag, looks like Schumpert would have gotten in. So the Royals are doing what they want to do. That's run the bases. Next thing in the bag of tricks, maybe a squeeze play. Don't be surprised. Al's going to do anything to get his club on a roll.
Schumpert is now 2 for 3 stealing bases, and McRae's got an RBI chance right here with only 1 away. Get that ball back in the infield or in the outfield. They'll play in at first and third, back at second and short.
The only negative thing, I looked down at my notes, and last year Brian McRae was 5 out of 22 bunting for base hits, and he had 8 pop-ups. So maybe Dad knows that Junior not a real good bunter. That may not be the play of the day right here.
Now the infield moves in all the way around. Tony La Russa brings him in. They'll go for the play at the plate on a ground ball. McRae with a 1-1 count. Jeff Parrott to him. It won't matter. Base hit into right center field. RBI single for Brian McRae. A 5-1 Kansas City lead. 2 for 3 for McRae on the night.
Tony La Russa said, boy, we had the Royals right where we wanted them. Unfortunately, we didn't get out of town in time. You knew the Royals were going to break loose against somebody. And for that trio that started the night with 6 hits on the season, they have 4 tonight. And don't be surprised if the track meet continues. Al McRae knows that a 4-run lead against the Bash brothers may not be real safe.
2 RBIs on the season now for McRae. 8 hits for the Royals, still only 1 out. Greg Jeffries, and Parrott's going to keep an eye at first base here on McRae. As Dave said, he could well be on the fly, sacrifice fly in the 3rd inning for Jeffries, who picked up the RBI. And up high. We're done with Slusarski's line. 3 1/3, 5 runs, 7 hits. He walked 1, struck out none, and hit a batter. Now Jeff Parrott responsible with McRae on at first base.
Oakland A's were doing this first week of the season, running the bases with abandon. But Tony La Russa said, no, we're not really running more. We're just getting more guys on base. We can do things. And the same thing for the Royals. The Royals have wanted to utilize that speed all the way through, but they've been having trouble getting guys to first base until tonight.
Royals 2 for 2 tonight, picking up base stealing, and they've had 8 on the season now, been caught only 3 times. So the Kansas City Royals have got to punch those kind of numbers up. I should say 2 for 3 tonight. They were caught once. Jeffries takes it. 1-1.
Keith Miller really triggered it by hustling a double on a routine single. Schumpert knocked in a pair, and a double inside the line. Those guys got to be feeling a little better about themselves tonight.
Nothing like good aggressive baseball to pick yourself up when you're playing poorly, as the Royals have. Fake go on the pitch out.
Might have been a good read by Brian McRae. Sometimes pitchers rush their motion to the plate. It looked like Brian was going to go, and all of a sudden he put the brakes on. Pitchers should deliver it out of their normal delivery. If you rush it to the plate, an intelligent base runner will spot that, and even though they're going, they'll say, whoa, I think I'll put on the brakes here.
Pretty good lead. See the Royals numbers, and McRae this time will have to dive back in on the throw by Jeff Parrott. He's worked it up so he's got 1 foot out there on the carpet. And the base runner is able to get out of the dirt area around the bag, get at least 1 foot out. That's a pretty good lead. Only a couple of guys in the game who will put both feet on that carpet. There he goes. Down low, no throw, another stolen base. McRae down to second.
Quite frankly, young Scott Heeman has not had much of a chance tonight. Tony La Russa, who knows how to manage the running game and the defense of it about as well as any manager around, but with the jump that Brian McRae had and a tough pitch for Heeman to handle, not too much of a chance to get to Speedy McRae. Brian had 20 last year, and it's a track meet at Royal Stadium tonight.
McRae gets his first on the season. He's 1 for 2 now. He's in scoring position. 3-1 to Jeffries is fouled off. And the count goes full 3-2 with 1 away. Don't forget, coming up here on ESPN tomorrow at 9 from Philadelphia, the junior welterweights will go at it. Sergei Artemyev against Bryant Payton. And in the flyweight division, Alfred Cote against Francisco Montiel. Right here on ESPN tomorrow at 9, top-ranked boxing.
You just passed all the tests and the names. I think you could probably handle the tennis now, right?
They sounded like hockey players to me. 3-2 delivery. Center field. Tagging up McRae at second. Wilson puts it away. McRae will move over to third. 2 down now. John?
Well, the Dodgers are a team struggling, facing the Astros this afternoon. Scott Servais with the little bloop here. Darryl Strawberry comes in, decides to let it bounce in front of him, and then coming to the plate, the run comes in. LA's lost 5 of 6. You can see the Braves and Dodgers Sunday.
And 5-1 here. The Kansas City Royals on top. They have a runner at third base now with 2 down, as McRae took advantage of the opportunity to tag up and move over on the fly ball out by Jeffries. And now Wally Joyner, perfect on the night with a double and a single. Batting .286 on the season, 1 RBI, a chance for his second right here. Parrott in with a fastball.
Jeff does have an open base, right-handed hitting McReynolds behind, but he went right after Joyner with the first pitch.
Up the middle, he's still perfect. Wally Joyner 3 for 3 and a 6-1 Royals lead.
Well, over the last 3 years, the statistics, if you like such things, Wally Joyner is hitting 81 points higher on AstroTurf than he does on natural grass. Those stats come into play tonight. 3 for 3. Only guy with a higher average over the last 3 years is his teammate Bob Melvin, a catcher, who's 121 points higher, but Melvin doesn't play quite as much as Wally Joyner. So Wally does like the carpet.
A great clutch hitter. 329 last year with runners in scoring position. He comes through again here. McRae scores, 6-1 lead, 9 hits now for the A's. And Dave, on that number on him, I note Wally Joyner is a .380 lifetime hitter here at Royal Stadium. And I got to believe when people were talking to him about where he wanted to play, he had to take a look at that and say,
sounds pretty good.
That sounds pretty good.
Because, you know, the Royals haven't had exactly a real cousin-type pitching staff. Guys like Gubicza and Saberhagen and people like that. I mean, he's earned that average.
That is going to go to right field. Rosas is there, and that will do it. Kevin McReynolds 0 for 3, but another big inning. 3 runs in and a 6-1 Royals lead.
ESPN Major League Baseball is brought to you by Bud Light. Everything else is just a light. And by ESPN Home Video, producers and distributors of slow pitch softball, available at video and retail stores nationwide.
Gary Thorne, Dave Campbell, great to have you with us here in KC, and KC is having a great night right now. 6-1 lead over the A's. Mike Bordick takes the strike. Davis has got something to work with here. He's been on. He has walked 2, struck out 2, retired the last 4 that he's faced. He's retired the side in order twice. Misses with that.
Good chance for Davis to take the old cliche bull by the horns here. His club has just staked him to a big lead. He wants to come out and shut down the A's now to keep them from entertaining any thoughts about coming back.
He is 1-1 lifetime against the Oakland A's. A great reliever who's now back into the starting role. 3-1 pitch, and that's not what he wanted to do. Bordick gets a leadoff walk here in the 5th inning.
Well, one group that is poised, ready to go tonight, is the ground crew of the Kansas City Royals, because, hey, when you lead by 5 runs after 4 innings and you only have to get a half inning in to make it a complete game, those guys will be on double time if the rain should start to fall. Prediction for showers, sometimes heavy all night, but thank goodness they've held off.
Very fortunate here. Neither team got in batting practice nor fielding practice. Field remained covered throughout right until game time. In fact, they took the tarp off once for the game, started raining, put it back on, then took it off again. We got started on time. Scott Heeman up. 6-1 lead for Kansas City. The A's with the leadoff man on here in the top of the order waiting. Ricky Henderson on deck.
Bordick's job here, don't get picked off and don't get doubled off on a line drive. A's got to play a little station to station until they can get back in there.
That's for a base hit. Jeffries lets it go. It is a foul ball. Home plate umpire right there to make the call. He knew he had no play on it if it stayed fair, so he waited as long as he could, and it rolled foul.
The veteran Larry Barnett, his call until it gets to the bag. Pretty good bunt. Good decision by Greg Jeffries. Across the line, just barely. Greg might have snatched that just a hair too soon, as the ball was definitely a rolling foul. Don't block off the umpire, though. Jeffries turned his back to Barnett and kind of grabbed at the ball.
Heeman checking at third. And Rene Laxman on the lines here. 0-2 count. See the defensive alignment as they look for the double play with nobody out. Heeman's double came in the 3rd inning, scored on the single by Canseco for the only run on the board for the Oakland A's. Davis in the dirt, blocked nicely by McFarland, will hold the runner at first.
Kind of gives us a chance here. Sometimes we talk about the infield being at double play depth, and what that means, you look at the shortstop and second baseman. They normally, if nobody's on base, they'd be playing back near the white stripes, plus they'd be protecting the hole a little bit for the shortstop between short and third, between second and third, the second baseman between first and second. But in a double play situation, they have to be close enough to the bag to get there to cover and make the turn.
That's going to be a base hit into right field. Kevin McReynolds up with it. And the A's get the first 2 men on here in the 5th inning with Ricky coming up. And here's John.
The Brewers and the Twins with Jim Gantner at the plate. Out to center field. Kirby Puckett coming hard. Tries to backhand it, but can't come up with it. It bounces to the wall. Kevin Seitzer comes in to score. Gantner with a triple. He later scored. It's 4-1 in the 7th. Gary and Dave.
Mr. Seitzer we were talking about earlier, so he's back at it again. Here, a 6-1 lead, but the A's with a chance now for a big inning. 2 on, nobody out. Ricky Henderson. He owes his teammates. He's had a rocky night out in left field. Has been charged with 1 error. Didn't charge a ball. Keith Miller took advantage of him and went down to second on it. Another one he tried to play off the wall on a fair ball, and it bounced around him. And that one is just foul. Nice play by the ball boy down the line. 1-1.
Ricky's contribution defensively tonight. When he went over to the fence to try to smother a ball, he dug his spikes into that padding there and ripped it loose.
Pretty good cut in there, didn't he? Off speed pitch, just missed. 2-1.
Maybe he's been sharpening his spikes like Ty Cobb.
Anderson batting an even 200 with a single he picked up in the 1st inning and a walk he drew in the 3rd. That one a towering fly ball to left field. It is deep. It is back. He's repaid him a 3-run homer. Rickey Henderson. All's forgiven.
Well, we mentioned from Mark Davis, 5th inning. That's the inning the starter has to get through. Sometimes they start playing mind games. Rickey Henderson hits his 2nd career homer off Mark Davis. He was the only A to have one, and that was a flat no-doubter. Rickey, who can style with the best of them, went into his patented Rickey, grabbed the shoulders a couple of times, and then start your trot around the bases.
And suddenly a 6-1 lead has become a 6-4 ball game. Rickey Henderson delivering the 2nd home run of the season, and RBIs are now up to 5. 3 of them right here.
See if you think Rickey knows it's gone. Ooh. Does he? Let's see, Rick. Do you think you know? Let's see, Rick. Yep. Grab the shirt. Yep. Style. Style, Rickey.
He didn't run too far in foul territory, did he? Get out of my way now.
Only guy I've ever seen go wider is Dave Parker. When Big Dave used to hit him, he'd be almost over to the first base dugout of that circle trot.
So Davis gives up the home run, and it is a 6-4 game. 2nd home run he's given up this season. And a strike on the inside corner. Rickey Henderson doing real damage here has put them right back into this game. Still nobody out. Up high, 1-1.
Davis lost confidence in his curveball, and Rickey knew he was going to get a fastball, 2-1. Neil Heaton loosening in the bullpen. He pitched very well in relief last week against the A's, only to see Rickey homer off him.
And helps himself out right there. Blankenship retired as Davis able to make the play in the comebacker. John?
The Yankees and the Jays and Buck Showalter trying to figure out how to score some runs against Jimmy Key. Charlie Hayes with a shot down the line, but Jeff Kent filling in for Kelly Gruber guns him down with a nice play. Toronto up 2-0 in the 8th.
That's a major league play. Here's Canseco, takes the strike.
Jays just keep coming up with players. Kent, big home run last night in that 12-6 win. Now a defensive play.
The Aronoff, our expert on stats and all numbers for all baseball. Oh my gosh, to left field. Miller back. Will it be way back? Goodbye, home run, Jose Canseco. It's 6-5.
Well, kind of mirrors what these two teams are all about. The Royals finally get their offense in gear. Pesky, Nats running the bases, destroying your ego by running the bases wild. But then the big Bash brothers come back, and with 2 swings of the bat, we got ourselves a baseball game.
Rickey Henderson, a 3-run homer. Jose Canseco, a solo shot, has 2 RBIs in this game. His 5th home run of the season. 9 runs batted in. McGuire wanted one too. Got under it to right. Kevin McReynolds makes the play. McGuire out.
Well, dial 8. Send my mail to the Tijuana jail. Whatever you want to say. The A's come up to take a look, and Jose takes a nice long look as well. Boy, it'd be nice to hit one that far and just know you could win your try.
2 down. And they're firing at it now. Carney Lansford. The A's have some pretty incredible numbers in this ballpark. Jose Canseco is a career .285 hitter here. That was his 8th home run that he has hit in a ballpark, which over the last 5 years reduces home runs by over 30% for the teams that play here compared to other parks. As Dave said earlier, this is not a home run park. Yet the Oakland A's come in here with McGuire and Canseco, who've been able to knock the ball around here pretty much at will.
A little bit of a gentle breeze blowing to left, but neither one of those balls needed any help. They were dead gone.
So a tough inning for Mark Davis. A few minutes ago, he had a 6-1 lead. It is now 6-5, 2 down, nobody on. 4 runs in here in the 5th. Carney Lansford, the 0 for 2. Takes that one down low, 2-2.
I wonder if the local air controller's got an extra blip on that one Canseco hit.
get them up in the air. Those are those shots that we always talk about with a great power hitter, rainmaker kind of home runs. The Strawberries, the Cansecos, the McGuires, Cecil Fielder, Deere, those kind of people. When they hit home runs, I mean, you put a clock on them to see what the hang time is going to be.
Ricky said, "You get all of it, Jose?" Jose said, "Are you kidding me? No way. I'll let you know. When it goes out of the stadium, I'll let you know."
3-2 count.
Renee Latchman, longtime third base coach for the Oakland A's. He's shaking a few hands rounding third base.
3-2 delivery to him, and he lost him. He's now given up 4 walks in the game, 2 of them in this inning. And that'll bring up Wilson, and that'll bring out Al McRae. For Mark Davis, this is his 1,000th major league inning. It is an unfortunate inning to mark that kind of a milestone because he is not going to get through it. Davis is gone, responsible for the base runner on. 6-5. 6-1 is suddenly 6-5. Mark Davis is out, and Neil Heaton has come on in relief.
Heaton, of course, picked up in a deal for Kirk Gibson, moving on to Pittsburgh. See Heaton's numbers in the year. He had a terrific outing in Oakland last week. Came into a game where it was tied all the way to the 13th inning. He pitched 6 2/3 innings of 2-hit ball, but then Ricky took him deep with 2 men on to end that. But he pitched a brilliant game out in Oakland a week ago.
So the A's with a runner on at first base, 2 down now. Carney Lansford, the base runner on. Wilson has gone 0 for 2. Chops it towards the middle. That's going to be trouble. Base hit. Lansford will stop at second base as McRae will get it back in. So on the first pitch delivered by Neil Heaton, he's welcomed by Willie Wilson with a single, a seeing eye turf single. And now there are 2 on with 2 down.
Right fielder Scott Brocious.
Heaton, who went to the University of Miami in Florida, pitched so well there during his collegiate career that the number he's wearing right now, 26, was retired. Also formerly a #1 draft choice of the Mets, but the Mets evidently didn't satisfy his contractual wants, so he elected to go back to college.
Now Scott Brocious gets an opportunity to tie this game up. In the dirt. He's going to get a better chance. The runners move up. It'll be a wild pitch charge to Heaton. Boy, has it come unglued for the Royals here.
Well, I'll tell you, this was a great game for the Royals. Formula-wise, did everything they wanted to. It looked like smooth sailing, but all of a sudden the wheels are coming off. Ball in the dirt, and as we saw last night, that area around home plate, very rough right now. Catchers are having a lot of trouble knocking balls down. A couple of them got past Jamie Quirk last night when he was trying to block them with his body.
1-0 count. Brocious will take the strike. Scott Brocious, a base hit here. Won't just tie it up. He'll give the A's a lead in this ball game. Brocious has had a 1 hit in 8 at. No, check that. Brocious has gone 0 for 2 with runners in scoring position. There you see Lansford, the lead runner. Brocious, Jeffries. They get the 3rd out, but it didn't come easy. So a big inning for the Oakland A's. They batted around, and they're back to within 1. From the fountains in the outfield here at Royal Stadium in Kansas City. Crowd has been quiet a bit for the big inning of the A's. 6-5 now with the Royals coming up. Davis leaves, going 4 2/3, 5 runs, 6 hits, 4 walks, 2 strikeouts, and gave up 2 home runs. Ricky Henderson and Jose Canseco both in that 5th inning. So Mark Davis now this season, 10 innings, 11 earned runs, 8 walks, and a 9.9 earned run average. But he still has a chance to win this baseball. No, he doesn't. He only went 4 2/3. Oh, well.
Amazing thing about it, Gary, you saw him pitch in the 4th inning. I mean, he had unhittable stuff. It's just very difficult to figure out, Mark Davis.
Jeff Parrott, who is on in relief of Joe Slusarski, the starter for the A's. Work here to Brett, McFarland, and Miller do up. So just when the Royals offense went to work, the pitching failed them.
Of course, these clubs, the A's celebrating their 25th year in existence. They moved from Kansas City to Oakland, and the Royals came in the next year, an expansion team, celebrating their 24th year, and both of them have done pretty darn well since that all transpired.
Brett drills it deep to center field, at the wall, hauled in by Willie Wilson. 400 plus feet away. Brett bidding for the home run at the deepest part of the yard.
Talking to some A's people, they said Willie Wilson has been positively brilliant in the early going, helping them offensively and defensively, but they also know that they can't wear him down. Chasing a lot of drives like this could do it. He gets a great jump here, and of course he knows this pasture pretty well. He knows exactly where he is.
So Brett is a long out, one down. McFarland, hit by a pitch his last time up, hitting just 143, takes the strike from Parrott. KC with that 1-7 mark. They've not done well in one-run games this year. They're 0-3 in that department. 3-0 for Oakland in one-run ball games already. 1 ball, 1 strike.
McFarland had a good first half last year and then had a knee injury that basically sidelined the rest of the year. He went out July 15th. He came back and acted as a DH in September, but didn't get behind the plate until after the season was over.
Breaking ball, that misses outside. 2 balls and 1 strike. Well, we got ourselves a ball game in this one. Just when it looked like it was long gone, but that's the power of the A's. They lead the league in home runs now with 14. They had been tied with 12 home runs. Texas had picked up 12 on the season, and Detroit as well. And got him going on that one. That was down and away, same pitch, 2-2.
Well, the Tigers have 8 runs tonight, so maybe
they added to it as well. Jose, the designated hitter in this ball game tonight, 2 RBIs and a home run. 5 on the year. 2-2 delivery, and Parrott gets the strikeout. And there are 2 down here in the 5th. Sunday Night Baseball right here on ESPN. Quite a matchup. 2 powerhouses. 8 o'clock, the Atlanta Braves take on the Los Angeles Dodgers. Dodger Stadium will be the site. John Miller, Joe Morgan will have it for you 8 o'clock on Sunday night. Mr. Gant, Mr. Strawberry and companies get together right here on ESPN. Two down and nobody on. Jeff Parrott. Keith Miller's done his part tonight. 308 on the season now. Double, single, 2 runs scored and a stolen base. He has hit A's pitching. 6 hits in 17 at-bats this season. Seems incredible you're talking about this number of at-bats against an opposing team, and you're only in the 9th game of the year, but that's because this is the 2nd series these teams have played already. 1-0 count. Fastball by Parrott. He's throwing nice and easy and hard. 1-1.
Well, they were getting no production out of that part of the order until tonight. And most of the offense, along with Brian McRae, who hits first. So the 7, 8, 9, and 1, who had produced virtually nothing, have been 90% of the Royals' offense tonight.
That's Miller, Howard, Shumpert, and then McRae in the leadoff spot. Miller takes that one. 2 balls and 1 strike. He will look at a lot of pitches in the course of the year. Has a good idea of the strike zone. He's one of those players who will force a pitcher to throw strikes before he will go after it. He doesn't take a lot of swings when it's 2-0, certainly not 3-0, even 3-1. That one hit off the, I don't know, that hit the bat or just go back and hit the catcher Heeman.
I think he called foul ball, so it may have hit the knob of the bat.
The knob of the bat came right straight down on Scott Heeman.
You know, one of the things, Gary, about Keith Miller, and he's a very versatile player. We take a look at this. Yeah, it hit the barrel of the bat and then deflected back. But I just wonder, Miller, not a power guy at all. He's a pretty good on-base guy and can make things happen. But you got another guy like him, Brian McRae, not a lot of power, playing in the outfield. I don't think you can afford to carry 2 punch and Judy type hitters. I think if Miller's going to play regularly on this club, I think it's going to have to be maybe at second base unless Shumpert can really get going with the bat.
That one towards short. Bordick running throw. Good play all around. McGuire had to do a little pick on that, but Bordick got enough on it to get the out of 1, 2, 3 inning. A 6-5 Royals lead.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
And Dave Campbell, as you would expect to see from the Oakland A's, the long ball and the comeback.
Yeah, I tell you, it looked like the game was over. The Royals had completely taken the momentum away from the Oakland A's, but 2 swings of the bat, and that's what the Oakland A's are all about. Plus, the Oakland A's are also an excellent base running team, too. You don't want to sell them short in that department.
For the Kansas City Royals, this is the kind of ball game now. It matters to them early on because they got a matter of confidence that's got to be built up. Huh?
Yeah, anytime you have a young club, I think it's very important to get off to a good start. And this is a game that they mentally filed away as a victory for them. They had taken everything away from the Oakland A's. All the momentum was theirs, and now they're back in a death struggle.
So let's see what happens here with Bordick leading it off. Parrott made quick work of the Kansas City half of the inning, retiring the side in order 1, 2, 3. Neil Heaton on in relief. Bordick started out that 5th inning when he drew a walk and was the first of 4 to cross the plate. Neil Heaton gets the strike in. 2 balls, 1 strike.
Greg, remember when the Royals were leading 5-1, we talked about the fact that Cal McRae wasn't going to stop the troops from running because he knows that the A's can come back quickly, and they did.
In a hurry. 6 runs, 9 hits for the Royals, 5 runs, 7 hits, and 1 error for the A's. Al McRae's starter, Mark Davis, out of there. 5 runs, 6 hits, 4 2/3. Lusarski out, 5 runs, 7 hits, and 3 1/3. And they've done it again. Bordick draws a leadoff walk. John.
Well, Jimmy Key pitched a whale of a game for the Jays, but he had to be relieved by Tom Henke here in the 9th inning, and he gets Danny Tartabull to fly out to center field to end the game. Key gets the win. The Jays now 8-1 on the season. Meanwhile, more from New York and the Mets here. Eddie Murray, what a stab, barehanded to knock it down. He's come on offensively and a nice defensive play as well as the Mets win. Back to you.
Some of those bats of the New York Mets finally getting going. A little warm weather probably won't hurt that. It has been mighty cold. The Mets returned home to play in their home opener and beyond. Here is Scott Heeman now with a runner at first base, representing the potential tying run in this game. And Heeman, the number 9 hitter, has doubled, singled, scored twice. He's had the big game at the bottom of the order for the Oakland A's.
Well, according to our crack stats man Marty Aronoff, wire story today, more injuries. Hal Morris, Cincinnati Reds out. Broken bone, I believe, in the hand is the report we got.
Boy, what an incredible list of injuries for so early in the season, and some odd type injuries. I mean, we've had the broken bones in the hand on hit batters, Lenny Dykstra kind of injury. 3 or 4 of the hand injuries that we've had early on.
See, Dave McKay, first base coach, he's the strength coach of the Oakland A's. I had a long chat with him for about 20 minutes before the game tonight. Had some pretty interesting observations about weight training. McKay, who definitely believes in weight training, says, though, you better know what you're doing, because he thinks some of the injuries right now in baseball are because of weight training of guys who don't know what they're doing. And he said, you know, their idea of stretching is to do 2 hours of weights and 2 minutes of stretching. He said you can't do that. If you're going to do the weights, you got to do just about an equal amount of stretching. Some guys are interested in bulk, and Dave McKay says that's not my idea of weight training for baseball. We don't teach bulk over here with the Oakland A's.
1-0 delivery, misses up high. And that's an ongoing argument among those involved in weight training, which has become so popular. Most of the teams now have even gone out and hired additional strength and conditioning coaches who are not necessarily part of the coaching staff. They just do that strength and conditioning work, and a lot of weight rooms have sprung up in baseball over the last 3-4 years.
It really is. I mean, it's everybody's got a theory. I don't know that there's any one thing. One thing, of course, is players have longer-term contracts, so when they are on the shelf, teams are going to try to get their investment back and put these guys into a rehabilitation situation.
2 balls and 1 strike on Heeman.
I mean, 1970, the entire year, not too many multi-year contracts, 52 players on the DL the entire year. 1991, the first week, 58. This year, 87. Some of it attributed to bad luck, the broken bones, the dislocated shoulders, etc. But I still think there may be some substance to the fact these guys getting pulled rib cage muscles, the elbows, the shoulders, all those things could be as a result of weight training and not stretching.
Oh, did he help him out on that one? 2 balls, 2 strikes. He needed the fishnet to come up with that ball. Heeman went one about 3 feet over his head. He knows it. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
You ever stop to think that guys like Cecil Fielder, who doesn't have an awful lot of bulk, I mean, he's big, but Cecil Fielder, 162 games last year. John Kruk, you don't see him on the DL. Hector Villanueva. I mean, these guys are not poster boys for Jack LaLanne, you know.
That's right.
But they seem to show up and play baseball every day.
2 balls, 2 strike delivery by Neil Heaton is grounded to short. Taylor made double play. Howard to Shumpert to Joyner. 2 down. 2 away. Bases empty. John.
The Mariners and the White Sox had to sit down for an hour and 20 minutes in a rain delay, but Jeff Schaefer was not affected here off McCaskill. 2-run home run as they now lead it 4-0. Griffey also with a 2-run shot. Back to you.
Lots of baseball being played, and we'll keep you updated on it as we go along here tonight. John Saunders at our baseball center there. All the highlights and scores. 6-5 here. Kansas City Royals have a 1-run lead, but it is tenuous right now. And here's Ricky. And that pitch reminds me of something, Dave, what we were talking about. I saw where one of the pitching coaches, and I'm sorry I say I can't remember which one now in the National League, was talking about one of the reasons he thinks we've had a lot of these hand injuries is guys getting hit at times at bat because they are crowding the plate, because pitchers do not own the inside of the plate anymore, and hitters know it, and they're lunging over the plate. And as a result, when somebody comes inside at all, even a strike sometimes, they get hit.
I completely agree. I mean, the hitting style of today is to try to utilize all of the field, and most hitters stand off the plate and dive in or stand close like Ricky and try to open up the hips and pull it, but they're trying to take away the inside part of the plate.
Ricky Henderson, like Lenny Dykstra somewhat, loves to get over that plate.
Think about 2 interesting theories. One of them, Sandy Koufax says pitching is the art of instilling fear.
Ball 4. He instilled enough fear not to get a strike on that at bat after hitting a home run in the 5th.
But on the other side of the coin, Ty Cobb once said that to be a great hitter, you have to work on the premise that the pitcher is more scared of you than you are of him. So it is fear. I mean, fear is a big thing. That baseball hurts. Some guys are able to overcome it. Some guys aren't.
So Neil Heaton will be paid a visit here as Ricky Henderson has drawn the walk. 2 given up by Neil Heaton. Ricky has 2 walks, a home run, and a single in this game. That won't hurt the on-base percentage. Coming up, the America's Cup 92, the 28th defense, the Defender final, Stars and Stripes in America Cubed. It's going to be my favorite name for anything. Begins on Saturday, 3 o'clock, right here on ESPN. All that innovative technology being put to use so you can see and hear what goes on those beautiful ships as they race.
I have enjoyed the coverage. Of course, I'm a little partial. I live in San Diego.
That's right.
But I still have really enjoyed the coverage.
It is beautiful. 2 down. Heaton's trying to find that inside corner. Blankenship.
I wonder if there was a little, I don't know. I mean, I'm just wondering if there was a little message in that at bat by Neil Heaton. Remember, Ricky Henderson beat him with a home run out in Oakland in the 13th inning. He styled on his last home run. All 4 pitches Heaton missed with were inside. And then Hansen paid a visit. You just wonder, was he trying to maybe nail him in the foot or the leg? I don't know.
You may be right, though. Pitchers are not taking kindly in heaven. That was foul tipped into the mitt that time of McFarland, and Lance Blankenship quickly behind on the count 0-2. Oakland A's with Ricky Henderson on at first base and 2 down, trailing by a run here in the top half of the 6th.
I'll go back to the Lenny Dykstra injury when Greg Maddux hit him. I mean, I was at that game in Philadelphia, and basically the ball was not that far inside. Lenny was just kind of diving in, and it looked like Maddux threw a cut fastball or a real quick slider, and Lenny just couldn't get his hands out of the strike zone.
Ricky not a big lead with 2 here. The 0-2 way up high by Neil Heaton. Blankenship not chasing. Ricky Henderson, I'll tell you, his batting average hasn't been all that high, but he's getting on base, which is what it's all about for him. He came in with a .333 on base percentage despite a .176 batting average. He has struck out 7 times, and with a 2 walks tonight, he's already walked 10 times on the year.
Well, the amazing thing with Ricky having an off season last year, he still led the major leagues in scoring runs per plate appearance. 1 run for every 5.5 at bats, which was just a tick better than Paul Molitor of Milwaukee, who led the major league in runs. So this guy, even when he has an off year, is still a dangerous hombre.
Always a threat, huh?
Yeah, he told Dave McKay, "Do you know what that guy said about weight training?" He said, "Look at my body." He says, "I'm put together." But Ricky, you've been getting some leg pulls lately too.
He was 7th in runs in the league last year. He's on at first base. Blankenship, who's batting .355 early on, waiting on a 1-2 delivery. Down low. Henderson's one of those guys, Dave, I guess you either love him or you don't, because he is who he is, and he is a lot of things, and he comes on strong with all of it.
Yeah, but you got to respect the talent. I mean, the man has done it. Combination of speed and power. Can't quite understand why he's not running in this situation, though. 2 outs, perfect situation to run.
I like it. 2-2. And that one's looped. Kevin McReynolds, the right fielder, will get there in time to put it away. So the leadoff walk does not end up hurting Neil Heaton, nor the one to Ricky Henderson. Bottom of the 6th coming, 1-run ball game. Beautiful sight, isn't it? Looking from the outside in at Royal Stadium here in Kansas City, Missouri. The answer to where's the beef? All over the place around here. Royals leading it by a score of 6-5. A 6-1 lead disappeared with a 4-run 5th inning. Ricky Henderson and Canseco have homered. 3 RBIs Henderson, 2 for Jose Canseco in this game.
Although I have not caught the aroma of the stockyards. Are they around here? Or?
You know, I don't know that anymore. If the stockyards, coming in from the airport today, listening on the car radio, though, I always get a kick out of listening to the agricultural reports out here. Being a true Mainer, I'm used to hearing some of those chicken type reports and hog jowls and
waiting for the Blue Northers to come in.
And how the Herefords are doing. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Somebody said the stockyards are no longer here. I'll have to catch up on my history lesson.
Not many, I don't know where stockyards exist anymore as such. Chicago, of course, used to have them all. Fort Worth, I guess, still has some. If our producer's right, he lives around there. Fouled off.
Was the clothespin on his nose a tip-off?
He's a true Texan. He'd know that. 1 ball, 2 strikes on David Howard, the leadoff batter. Howard, Shumpert, and McRae due up here for the Kansas City Royals.
He kind of reminds me of a Texas steer, you know, a point here and a point there and a lot of bull in between.
Oh! That was your color man, Bob. Here's the 1-2. Nice pitch. Jeff Parrott has come on and looked good. He's got a couple of strikeouts, retired the side in order in the 5th inning.
Parrott, a little bit of a rocky start, but has settled in. He's given the A's what they need. Once they got back in this game, he's kind of taking control. Good tailing fastball on the outside corner that David Howard can't reach.
And the bottom of the order, Shumpert, who ended up with a double, stolen base, a couple of RBIs in his last at-bat, as well as the run scored. Shumpert has got the average up to 190 now as he tries to pick up the pace for the Royals. Well, we're going to see the bullpens here tonight. We already are. With the starters only going Slosarski 3 1/3 and Davis 4 2/3. Bullpen ball game now. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out.
Give you an idea of the longevity of some of the Royals players. Terry Shumpert already number 3 on the all-time Royals list of games played by a second baseman in their 24th year. A couple of guys by the name of Cookie Rojas and Frank White dominated for about 20 of those years.
Shumpert's going to catch up in a hurry if we can get the bat going. We were going to make a point earlier now that you mentioned that, Dave. We're talking about whether or not Keith Miller will end up in left field for Kansas City for very long. The ongoing discussion here, and it's included a one-on-one with the manager, is Jim Eisenreich whether or not he should come off the bench and be a daily player in the outfield, moving Miller into the infield. 1-2. Jammed him something fierce. 2 strikeouts in the inning. John.
In the Giants early on is the first inning. Benito Santiago, routine pop, right? One problem, no such thing as a routine pop in Candlestick. Robbie Thompson cannot come up with it. Fernandez and Sheffield score, and Benito has a double. 2-0. Back to you.
Benito Santiago tooling along about a 1-for-26 start. Maybe those are the kind of things that get you out of slumps.
Well, what a start to the season he had, and all the discussions that were going on out there. 2 down here, bases empty, ball 1 to Brian McRae.
Getting back to the conversation about whether Miller may move to second and Eisenreich, my only question is, what about Chris Gwynn? I mean, this kid is an excellent young hitter. When is somebody going to give him a chance? Picked him up in the Benzinger trade this winter, and he's an excellent pinch hitter, but I think you got to find out if this guy can play every day.
Chris Gwynn has thus far gone 3 for 6 on the season with just those limited opportunities.
It's Chris, second from the right, I guess, as we're looking at that.
I'll tell you that this much, that as far as Hal McRae is concerned, the skipper, the Kansas City Royals, what he said in the past remains true. He views Jim Eisenreich as a role player, not an everyday player, and that's been Eisenreich's job here with his team since he's been here, and he has done it very well. He's an outstanding pinch hitter. Foul back, and a guy who can come in and relieve guys on a, every 3rd, 4th day or whatever is necessary, play regularly if somebody gets hurt. But I don't think the discussion the other day that they had one-on-one changed any of that.
No, I mean, basically Hal told Eisenreich, I'm going with this lineup at least through the month of April because we're committed to it at least that long.
2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. 6-5 lead for the Royals, bottom half of the 6th inning. Jeff Parrott's delivery is going to be an extra base hit to left. Ricky Henderson over to get it. And he's having himself a night. Ryan McRae. That is his 3rd hit. A single, a triple, a double. 3 for 4, RBI, 2 runs scored. He keeps adding to it.
Well, not only does it take pressure off Hal McRae getting a win last night, but for young Brian McRae, who came in 1 for his last 27, this has got to make your day. I don't care if you had a 22-game hitting streak last year. You're still young. That confidence is still fragile. And he just does a great job of serving that past Carney Lansford. That'll do wonders for his confidence. 3 hits tonight. He's been one of the catalysts for the Royals in this game against the A's.
Now a big RBI opportunity right here for Greg Jeffries. McRae on at second base with 2 down. That's 10 hits now for the Royals in tonight's game. They had been averaging just 6 hits per game on the season prior to tonight, and only 2 runs a game. They've already scored 6 in this one.
I'll tell you, no respite right now for right-handed pitchers. You got Jeffries, you got Joyner. You do have McReynolds in there, who's not swinging the bat too well, but Brett behind him. Probably see a left-hander later on in the game if the A's can stay close in this one.
Jeffries takes the pitch inside, 2 balls and 1 strike.
Well, speaking of left-handers, you talk about baseball mirroring life in some respects. Monday night, A's come in here. Rick Honeycutt comes marching out of the A's bullpen, throws 1 pitch, gets a double play. That's his work for the night. Terrific job. Last night, same guy comes in trying to protect a one-run lead. 2 misplays on a bunt, 2 wild pitches, get hung with an L. The hero one night, Mr. Goat the next.
Baseball is great drama, but every night is a different play in this game. 2-0 count, 2 down. McRae at second base. Nice stop made by Scott Heeman. Couple in the dirt on Jeffries. Joyner's the on-deck batter.
Yeah, I don't think Parrott's pitching around Jeffries to get to Joyner in this situation.
There's Wally. Jeffries a very good clutch hitter last year. He hit .306 with runners in scoring position with the Mets. Not going to get a chance here, though. He draws the walk. First given up by Parrott. 2 on, 2 down for Joyner. John.
The Brewers and the Twins' 9th inning. It was a 4-1 lead for Milwaukee, then 4-2 when Randy Bush comes up, and this is a pinch hit that drives in Hill and Mack as they tie the game at 4 apiece. We'll keep you updated. Let's get it back to you.
got a good ball game going there, and we do here.
Payback time. Last week it was B.J. Suroff hitting that grand slam homer off Rick Aguilera to bury the Twins in a game at Milwaukee. The Twins trying to repay the favor.
Sports Center coming up after a ball game here in Kansas City. Keith Olbermann and Dan Patrick standing by. Doc Gooden on against the Phillies. We'll see how he did in that outing. It's playoff time in the NBA. Lakers and Celtics making the push, and the Tark is back, but in a different place, a different uniform starting next year. They'll have all the details coming up on Sports Center. See if the shark attack works in San Antonio. 2 down, 2 on. 6-5 a game. Wally Joyner with a chance to add to that lead. He's 3 for 3. RBI. Pushed his average up to 306.
Kind of an interesting scenario here from the standpoint, you don't really want to give Joyner anything too good to hit, but the guy on deck, Kevin McReynolds, owns Parrott lifetime and has phenomenal bases loaded numbers.
You better work to Joyner.
It really isn't a real good choice here. I mean, McReynolds is hitting .409 with 3 home runs against Parrott lifetime, and with the bases loaded the last 4 years, he's hitting about a zillion.
There's McReynolds waiting on deck. 1 ball, 1 strike. Jeff Parrott has 2 down, and he's blazing it in inside corner again. 1 and 2 on Joyner. Joyner down on the count with 2 away. Big scoring opportunity right here. McRae with great speed, the lead runner at second base. Jeffries at first. 1-2 to Joyner inside. Wally actually hit better against right-handers last year. 315, 275 against lefties. That's nothing wrong with that. Always been known as one of the real good left-handed batters against left-handed pitchers. 2 balls, 2 strikes, and he gets by. Runners move up 3-2. Wild pitch.
Well, the stage would be set for an old Dick Williams trick here if the A's would think about it. This pitch is in the dirt. Can't stop it. Heeman, the runners move up. Might recall in the World Series, similar situation, open base, 3 balls, 2 strikes. Dick Williams had the A's fake an intentional pass, and Raleigh Fingers threw a perfect slider to Johnny Bench on the outside corner for strike 3.
Here's a very big pitch. 3-2, 2 down, 2 on to Joyner, and it'll have to be done again.
Bench said he wasn't fooled in the situation. The trick was that Raleigh Fingers actually threw a 3-2 slider with the catcher Gene Tennis motioning for the intentional pass, threw a 3-2 slider right on the black.
That'll get you. Saw how far Jeffries was. He was already down to third base. He's the runner at second. McRae at third. Royals up by 1 run here in the 6th, and Parrott wants more time. Joyner backs out. Do it again. 3-2 delivery, and he loads them up. Bases loaded. A 1-run game, 2 down, and here comes Kevin McReynolds.
Right fielder Kevin McReynolds.
McReynolds has taken the 0 for tonight. He is off to a very slow start, but as Dave said, he has been very tough against Jeff Parrott and with the bases loaded.
Bruce Walton up.
Parrott way off.
No, the last 4 years for Kevin McReynolds, sacks jammed. He has been absolute poison. 5 grand slam homers, 20 for his last 37 over a 4-year period. And against Jeff Parrott, 409 lifetime, 3 homers and 8 RBIs. But hey, the odds are Still about 50-50 if you're Parrott.
Imagine that, a .541 batting average over the last 4 years with the bases loaded. 1-0 delivery. Parrott came in. McReynolds making him throw a strike. 1 ball, 1 strike. And here you have baseball at its best. It's on the line right here. 6th inning, and the Royals up by 1. The 1-1. McReynolds chased it and fouled it off. 1-2.
Got to remember, Kevin got off to an extremely slow start last year. They were ready to run him out of New York. But McReynolds came on, had his usual numbers, maybe down just a little bit, but still. He's going to, at the end of the year, is going to hit between 260 and 285. He's going to hit 20-plus homers and drive in anywhere from 75 to 95 runs.
Reynolds last April hit 128, finished the season 259. He's behind. 1-2 delivery. McReynolds to left field. Ricky Henderson right there. Snatch catch, and that's it. McReynolds is retired, and the Royals leave the bases loaded in the 6th.
ESPN Major League Baseball is brought to you by Budweiser, the king of beers, who reminds you friends know when to say when. And by Energizer batteries. Nothing outlasts the Energizer.
Well, they didn't get it. So there's your line through 6. 6-10-0 for the Royals, 5-7-1 for the A's, and Mike Magnotti's come on, our 3rd pitcher.
6'1" left-hander, 26 years old, divided last year between Omaha and Kansas City. You see his line so far this year. Al McRae keeps running the lefties out against this powerful right-handed hitting lineup. Sure, he has his reasons, but if the lead continues, you'll see Jeff Montgomery probably in the 9th.
Dangerous stuff, especially right here. Jose Canseco, who loves to wind up in the left-handers. Canseco, McGuire, and Lansford due up. 7th inning.
Sometimes a manager, though, gets a little more scared of what's on the bench and maybe on the field. We've got a guy named Harold Baines sitting over there. Maybe that's a guy that Hal McRae has seen too much of over his career.
Think he wanted that one? Stand up to that breeze. Canseco down on the count. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Canseco last season, and the 44 home runs he picked up, he got 8 of them off the left. He's 36 off the right. He's a lot more at bats though. Almost 5 times more against right-handers, because you just don't put the lefties in against Oakland, so they don't see a lot of them. And maybe that works in reverse, because they don't get to see enough of them sometimes.
Could be. Going back to last inning, when we set the stage with McReynolds, what he had done against Parrott, what he had done with the bases loaded, and Big Mac hit it a ton, but you can't direct the ball all the time. He hit a rocket right at Ricky Henderson.
Kevin McReynolds wanted that one. He's taking the 0 for 4 now, and that last one with the bases loaded. He's been up before in this ball game. In fact, every time with runners on, and Canseco's got another base hit. So Magnotti's greeted with a single. Keith Miller will get it back in, and the potential tying run is on. Big night. Canseco now 2 singles, a home run, 2 RBIs. Royals Stadium on this Wednesday night for our ESPN ball game, and a good one it is. Gary Thorne, Dave Campbell, appreciate your being along with us here. And in the 7th inning, what was a 6-1 lead disappeared. The Kansas City Royals had that lead until the 4-run 5th for the A's. And here's Mark McGuire, 3 fly ball outs. Magnotti misses down low to him, ball 1.
Well, Mark's retooled the swing. Hasn't talked an awful lot about it. I got a kick out of reading the article in USA Baseball Weekly today. He said late in the season, some fan kept screaming at him, "Come on, Mark, Mark." And finally, McGuire saw him outside the ballpark and said, "What do you want?" He says, "Get pigeon-toed with that front foot again. That's when you did all your hitting." McGuire said, "I thought about it. I thought about it." And I said, "I think that fan's right." Notice how that front foot is really cocked in.
He said to us for the game, the problem he had last year was he listened to everybody. Well,
should have listened to that fan.
Listened to that fan alone, I guess.
You'll watch how he really toes in with that front foot. It seems though it would lock his hip, but it doesn't do it.
See how the home run power is back for him. Magnotti with a 1-0, foul back.
Yeah, Magnati's worried about Canseco right now, but Canseco is not going to be running in this situation. You want to let McGuire have his pop at trying to drive one out of here and giving the A's a 1-run lead. Jose may run later if McGuire doesn't do anything.
Mark McGuire is following that style taught by Charlie Lau and particularly Walt Reniak now about that front foot towed in. Reniak preaches that religiously. Ground ball, and that's going to be a base hit. Out of the reach of Jeffries, and they're doing it station by station with the big guys. McGuire's on, 2 on, nobody out. We talked to Mark McGuire before the game and asked him about what changes he's made this year at the plate.
I think that the only change I've made for myself is I'm just doing the things I'm capable of doing. And last year I didn't really do anything. The biggest mistake I did last year, I listened to too many people. I got in such a rut. I tried 100 different stances, 100 different swings. And when you get in such a hole, you're constantly digging up, and it was just nothing ever happened last year. Never got on track. Sat back this winter, and I said, what do I need to do? And it was simple. Just do what I'm capable of doing, and that's all I'm doing right now.
If he does that, they'll be very happy.
Well, he also got together with a new batting coach, Doug Rader, former manager of the Rangers and the Angels, and they met in Arizona in January. And I think Rader's philosophy was pretty simple. He said, Mark, just get yourself comfortable at the plate and then concentrate on driving the baseball. There wasn't a lot of real deep, dark secrets. But right now, McGuire is swinging the bat well and has since the first day of spring training.
Everybody looking for the bunt, and Lansford had Joyner coming in at first and tried to stuff it down his throat. And fouled it off.
I think the A's had hit and run on, but Canseco got a very late break off second base, and McGuire kind of fish-eyed because Mark was taking off. So they were running, trying to play hit and run, but Jose got a real late break.
Nobody out. Canseco at second, McGuire at first. Carney Lansford drew a walk his last time up. He tried to bunt his way on once in this game, was thrown out by the pitcher. Joyner charging again, pick off at second with Shumpert moving over, not in time. So lots of action going on the mound, and there is Jeff Montgomery.
Awfully early to have your closer up.
1-7. A 1-run lead. Mike Magnotti, the 26-year-old, in trouble right here, still looking for the bunt. They get it this time. Perfect. Play it third. Not perfect. They got him. Nice play by Magnotti. I didn't think he could get over there in time to handle that. He gets Canseco, the lead runner.
See the perfect example of why managers always want a left-handed pitcher in a situation like that, because once he feels the ball, he does not have to turn his body like a right-hander would. I agree with you, though, Gary. I didn't think he had a chance. But watch out when Magnotti gets this ball. All he's got to do is just look and flip, where a right-hander would have to make a complete turn. I don't know. Well, it was awfully close. Al Clark rings him up.
When you put the bunt down at third in that situation, obviously you're trying to get the third baseman to handle it. Then you don't have to worry about it because nobody's going to cover third base. But Magnotti got over there in such a hurry, there wasn't any chance to do that.
Tony La Russa employed the same strategy last night, leaving Rick Honeycutt in, but Rick made a bad decision going to third base. It was too late to get the runner.
Now will the veteran and very, very favorite star here in Kansas City in his seasons do damage. Willie Wilson has singled. That came in the fifth. The 2 on. Now McGuire at second and Lansford at first with 1 out. Obviously looking for the double play ball here, and Wilson is a ground ball hitter. Magnotti to him for the strike. Wilson, part of the reason he was always so successful here, he does put that ball on the ground, and when you're a ground ball hitter on the carpet, you get a lot of them skip through. He likes playing on carpets, always has. Hit .273 on the carpets last year and 40 points less in grass fields. They want the ground ball here, the Royals do, to try and get the double play. Tony's one of the great pacers, isn't he?
Yeah, he really is. I got to tell you, Canseco did not get a good jump at second, and it also looked like Jose maybe slowed down a little bit coming into third. And you see Tony, I think he's muttering under his breath because both you and I looked, and it didn't look like Magnotti had a play at all on Canseco, and all of a sudden he did.
Off the catcher's mask, McFarland caught a piece of that. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
A's, quite frankly, have not played real crisp baseball tonight, but because of the power, they've been able to stay in it. But you can't continue to make mistakes. I don't care how much power you got. You got to play the game intelligently.
Tony La Russa, of all the things he teaches on this club, every game, every day, every pitch, every play, be up. Don't get sloppy. That's what he taught in championship clubs. He tries to get his team to a level of where they play consistent baseball day in, day out, always in the game. You don't ever take a day off in the field. You don't ever give up an at-bat. You don't ever do those things, because he preaches you do it once, you will do it the next time. The next time you won't have the 6-1 lead. Magnotti wanted it, doesn't get it. 2-2.
And another key that La Russa has found out is you hire coaches who help you implement that philosophy. And he has a coaching staff, one of the hardest working coaching staffs in baseball. They know, hey, if the coaches who don't get big salaries make it to postseason, that's a lot of money for them. Maybe not for the players, but it sure is for the coaches.
And he does come through. Base hit. Mark McGwire makes the turn. Throw will go into third by McRae. Cut off relay, not in time. This game is tied. Down to second base goes Willie Wilson. A single and RBI. Second on the throw. 6-6.
Good news for Oakland A's fans as well. Carney Lansford ran very well between first and third on that hit. David Howard cut it off. He had a sure play of Wilson at second, but he elected to go to third and missed the runner there. Willie Wilson delivers. It's a low fastball about thigh high and rakes it into the outfield. Brian McRae makes a good throw into the cutoff man. David Howard elects to go to third, although he had Willie Wilson at second base, and he misses Lansford.
Boy, that hurts when Willie Wilson does it. That is his third RBI on the season, his second hit in this ball game, and the lead is now all gone. 6-6, each team with 10 hits. So Magnotti came on. Canseco, McGwire singling, force play, hit into by Lansford. Wilson the single. Scott Brocious now looking to crack into the hit department with the infield in with one out. 1-1.
One thing you want to do as a hitter in this situation is to try to get a ball up in the strike zone and drive it straight away. Brocious on the first pitch looked like he came off the ball and was trying to pull it.
The A's continuing to hit the ball. They came in batting .282 as a team. Fourth best in the league early on. They haven't hurt themselves in that department here tonight. Inside corner strike by Magnotti. Keeps it down 1-2. Rader hollering out encouragement.
Doug worked with Tony in Chicago in 1986 before La Russa got fired there. Rader was his third base coach, and this is their second stint together.
1-2. Brocious fouls it back.
Much better idea that time by Scott Brocious. He was protecting away, trying to fight the ball off.
What ball game? It looked like it was just going to be blown away when Kansas City had that lead. It's turned into a real edge of your seater. Brocious line drive, base hit into center field. That will score 2 runs. Lansford and Wilson come across, and the A's have taken an 8-6 lead here in the 7th inning.
Well,
those of you who have been watching the Texas game, welcome to Kansas City. Harry Thorne, Dave Campbell. The Oakland A's have just gone on top 8-6, having trailed in this game at 1.6-1. Doing it against the third pitcher on for Kansas City, Mike Magnotti. The long ball counting in the 5th inning. Ricky Henderson, a 3-run homer. Canseco has homered in this game and has 2 RBIs. And they're doing a number right now, Dave, on Royals pitchers.
Really are. Guy Hansen, the pitching coach, he was quoted in spring training as saying, I like my staff so much, if they don't finish in the top 3 or 4 in ERA in this league, I ought to be fired. But right now, they may be a little thin. And when you see a guy like Jeff Montgomery up in the 7th inning after coming on last night, I know Hal McRae has been very patient through this thing, but, you know, sometimes you can construe that as maybe a moment of panic, because you don't get your closer up in the 7th unless he hasn't worked in about a week.
So Magnotti will stay in. Runner on at first base, still just one out. 3 runs across. Scott Brocious, his first hit of the night and his first RBIs of the season. He's got 2 in a hurry. 8 runs on 11 hits now for the A's. And Mike Bordick will watch the pitch out. Brocious going nowhere. Oh, what a comeback. What a hurt to this point Oakland has put on Kansas City.
Well, you could say boo in this crowd right now. Wow, is it quiet.
Magnotti's pitch is lined to center field. Another base hit. Brocious makes the turn. He'll stay as McRae fires into second base. And the fans want Magnotti out of there. We'll see whether Hal McRae agrees. 2 on, 1 down.
Well, it's just a matter of getting Joel Johnson loose. They put Montgomery down after the Royals gave up the lead. They're trying to get Joel Johnson heated up in the bullpen, a right-handed reliever. Hansen went out to try to stall a little bit. We'll wait for the tip of the cap to show that Johnson's ready. You can see he's hurrying.
It's 5 singles against Magnotti, who thus far has worked just a third of an inning. The 26-year-old still in trouble. Scott Heeman, the 9-hitter, but don't let that fool you. He's already doubled and singled. Ball 1.
Well, situation 2 here. McRae knows that if he brings Johnson, the right-hander, in, that he's probably going to see Jamie Quirk. So he's electing he'd rather see Scott Heeman, hope to get a ground ball for a double play, rather than face Jamie Quirk, the former Royal.
Heeman hit into a double play his last time up. Brocious on at second base. Mike Bordick with a single on at first. And Scott Heeman. Like the number 429 right now, because that's his batting average. Adding to it tonight. Maybe early in the season, but as they say, once you got him, they can't take him away from you later on. 1-0 off the end of the bat.
Well, something had to give in that San Diego-San Francisco game tonight. Both pitchers came in with a dubious distinction of carrying ERAs of 108. Craig Lefferts and Dave Burba, in their first starts, only went a third of an inning, gave up 4 runs. Lefferts has them shut out in the 4th inning, 2-0 tonight, and the 2 San Diego runs were tainted.
Those tainted runs. Sounds like a late night show. 1-1 count. Magnotti's delivery grounded to second, should be 2. Shumpert, Howard, got him. So he gets the ground ball he needed, but not before 3 runs are in. The A's are on top 8-6. It's stretch time. Well, the fans needed the 7th inning stretch here to try and shake it off as the Oakland A's have rebounded from a 6-1 deficit to take the lead. 7th inning stretch time, and this is a typical Tony La Russa game, Dave Campbell. We're seeing a run in the bullpen.
Really is, and of course the object is to try to find a way to sneak into the 9th inning and get the Eck up. Eckersley has not pitched since last Friday, so he's certainly well rested. In the meantime, Bruce Walton's going to be called in to hold the fort. One of the more important jobs in baseball, trying to secure those holes, also one of the most overlooked. So Tony has forged a 2-run lead. Kind of a payback for an ugly loss last night, but this one's got 3 long innings to go.
Walton, in his only appearance this season against Kansas City in the series out there, appeared in 1 game and worked an inning and struck out 2. That was it.
Journeyman, been around, signed with the A's in '85, got his first taste of the big leagues last year. He was out of Bakersfield. Is the rain coming? Or is he just trying to shield, just waiting for Canseco's home run to come down?
I refuse to acknowledge the umbrella. Must be it's a little sunny down there and they wanted to keep the sun off the top.
Well, at one time in Major League Baseball, with the A's taking the lead in the top of the 7th, if they didn't get the bottom of the 7th inning, the score would revert back to the 6th. No longer the case. It would become a suspended game. You would make it up with a score 8-6 at this point.
Well, we're just going to play through here. So
yeah, but I just thought I'd bring that point up. There used to be some great stalling techniques by managers.
Everybody step out. 1 ball, 1 strike. Bottom of the 7th inning. George Brett robbed of an extra base hit on a fly ball over 400 feet away to center field. Willie Wilson hauled it in. His last at bat. 0 for 3 tonight. 241 thus far on the season. Good job by Jeff Parrott in relief. 2 2/3, a run on 3 hits, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, and a wild pitch, but he held the fort. Talk about a guy who's earned it 7 years of minor league work for Walton before he got his first chance with the Oakland A's at the major league level last year. He worked in 12 games, 13 innings. His major league record is 1-0 with no saves. He's 29 years old. McGuire. So one veteran gets another right there as Brett is retired, 1 out. John Saunders.
You had a big comeback where you were. While the Brewers and the Twins came back as well, down 4-1 in the 9th. They tied 4-4, and then Brian Harper trying to win it. Well, even fools the cameraman. Doesn't get it done. Meanwhile, B.J. Surhoff in the top of the 10th inning, bringing in William Suero and Paul Molitor to make it 6-4, now 7-4. Kirby Puckett is playing third.
I don't know if Kirby needs to save his legs yet, but he'll probably play over there as well as anywhere else.
B.J. Surhoff again, huh?
Yeah.
Hit the grand slam last week against Aguilera and doing it again.
Mike McFarland standing in here, telling himself to stay away from that pitch. It's tailing away. 2 balls and no strikes. Walton with 1 out. McFarland to be followed by Keith Miller, scheduled up here. And McFarland uppercuts that one to second base. That's Blankenship. Oh, Walton's got the first 2 outs. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball this Sunday at 8 o'clock. John Miller, Joe Morgan. The Atlanta Braves and the Los Angeles Dodgers will go against one another. 2 of the powerhouses in the National League expected to be, and starting out that way. You'll see them exclusively here on ESPN. Sunday night, 8 o'clock. John and Joe. 2 down, bottom of the 7th, 8-6. A's are on top. Keith Miller. He's upped his average to 296 with a double and single here tonight in 3 at-bats.
Sometimes you have to watch a guy, Gary, over a long period of time to appreciate him. I've long wondered why so many people were so high on Keith Miller. I mean, the Mets wanted to play him in center. The Royals have stuck him in the outfield. It's given me a little taste tonight with his all-out hustle, determination. That's why people like him. But you got to look at a player sometimes. The numbers don't always tell the story.
He is a Hal McRae kind of ball player. You're going to put him out there. You know what you're going to get every day. Very consistent. Will give you very decent numbers. Not a power hitter.
Speaking of Hal McRae type player, they put a special rule in baseball because of Hal McRae, the way he was destroying people, breaking up double plays. They call it the McRae rule. If you take a second baseman out now or a shortstop and you can't reach the bag with your hand or foot, they can call it an automatic double play. He was hell for bent on the bases.
Beware when he started down your way. He had an outstanding career. He ended up as a .290 hitter in 17 years of Major League Baseball, 191 home runs and 1,097 runs batted in. All of it with the Kansas City Royals. 3-1 pitch. He's on. Nothing else he can do. He'll draw walks. A 2-out walk here in the 7th inning.
Probably we'll see Eisenreich or Chris Gwynn right here for David Howard. Getting down to bench time. Walton, a guy who got his shot, as you said, Gary, last year. Tony La Russa had to go for 9 rookie pitchers last year. His staff just got decimated.
Now we're waiting on the decision here. And Chris Gwynn has come out. He will be pinch hitting for David Howard.
Let's see if La Russa might make a counter move. He's got a left-hander going in the pen. Can't see that far out to see if it's Honeycutt or Vince Horstman. But once Chris Gwynn is announced, Tony may be on a parade to the mound. And it is Horstman. And the goose is up. He's announced. Oh, here comes Tony. One thing I like about Tony, though, he's going to make the pitching change. He doesn't walk out slowly. He's got his guy ready, trots out, says, give me the left-hander.
Did it right away. So we'll go to the bullpen again. This will be the 4th A's pitcher that we've seen in this game. Walton will go out of there, responsible for the base runner on. 8-6 A's. Okay, John, and here with the runner on at first base and 2 down, Tony La Russa decides to bring the left-hander on, and Horstman will come in with those numbers on the season.
Vince picked up on a waiver wire from the Toronto Blue Jays in the spring, and with Joe Klink going down with some arm problems, got a chance to make this club. Has performed very well. Ricky. Was it a Ricky rally? No, it was a Ricky rest in the bullpen.
Melvin is now going to be the pinch hitter, so technically it's for Gwynn, who never got to the plate. We get the right-hander up. There's Bob Melvin with the Orioles last season, pinch hitting here against the right-hander Vince Horseman, who has done the job thus far this season. He has come on with 4 runners on and has not allowed any of them to score. Inheriting runners for relievers is what you're trying to keep on base. He's a rookie. Made the debut against these Kansas City Royals in the series out there in Oakland.
Tell you, if Vince can continue his good work, even when Klink is healthy, he's got a chance to make this roster, because Tony La Russa loves to be able to do that left-right trick in the bullpen. You get 3 lefties down there to go with currently 5 right-handers. He's got 12 pitchers on the staff right now.
And that one's going to be taken away. 2 balls, no strikes, 2 out, 1 on. 8-6 lead for the A's, 7th inning.
But not throwing strikes is not a real good way to get in your manager's graces, especially with a guy Brian McRae or Terry Shumpert's on deck. McRae to follow him.
Horseman, a native Canadian, born in Halifax, lives in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. That one down the right field line, that is going to be trouble. It is a foul ball, just missed, hitting the chalk, or in this case the paint.
Lynn Jones, the first base coach, started to go out and argue with the first place umpire Greg Koss, but then thought, well, gosh, he was closer than I was. It was close. No chance for Brocious to get there. And it is foul. Good call by Kosk, and for McRae, he's going, kind of the way things are going right now for my ball club.
Well, Melvin almost with a big pinch hit right there. Comes back in now with a 2-ball, 1-strike count on him. Melvin, first time as a pinch hitter this year. Runner at first base. Miller, who drew the walk. Melvin towards the hole. Cut off Bordick. The flip, and they get the out. And that's called getting it done. So Melvin hits into the force play. We've completed 7 here in Kansas City. The A's up by 2. Storyline here in Kansas City tonight has been a big comeback. The Oakland A's were down 6-1, and then a 4-run 4th inning put them right back in the ball game. The A's have now scored 7 unanswered runs, including the 3 that put them on top in the 7th inning. And another pitcher.
Right-hander Joel Johnston, 6'4", 220, 25-year-old out of Westchester, Pennsylvania. Went to Penn State and did not play for Joe Paterno.
Magnotti now the pitcher of record, as we see Wilkerson in at short. Curtis Wilkerson with Howard out for the pinch hitter. 8th inning. 14 runs in this game, 22 hits. 4 years in the minors for Johnston before he had an opportunity last season. Baseball America voted him as the top pitching prospect in the Kansas City organization. And Ricky Henderson, we'll get a look at him here. Ricky's been on every time. 2 walks. Single, home run, 3 RBIs, his home run in the 5th. Fakes that one off, 0-2.
Last 4 pitchers in this game have been Mike Magnante, Bruce Walton, Vince Horseman, and Joel Johnson. And I bet you already know the answer to this question, but what do they have in common?
A minimum salary under baseball's contracts.
Thank you very kindly. $109,000 apiece.
Breaking ball misses away, 1-2. Boy, have we seen that change over the last 2 years in this game, have we not? And it is certainly the road of the future in baseball, with all the contract prices up and teams paying. The Mets now up to $46 million in salaries, with Schofield being signed, added. What's happening now is you're going to pay your big stars the money, but you're going to try and fill out the rest of the roster with guys at a minimum.
Yeah, and that middle relief is so important to a ball club, but clubs have got to save money somewhere, and that's where a lot of it's being saved. And it's not only Kansas City, but clubs like Oakland and a lot of teams.
Anderson, despite the big night tonight, still on the season, batting just .222. He will step out. Johnston started his minor league career as a starter, but for the last 2 seasons he has been used just in relief, playing at Omaha and 13 games with Kansas City last year, and he lost him. He lost Ricky Henderson. On-base percentage of 1,000 tonight with 3 walks and a home run and a single. Sports Center's coming up next. Bring you up to date on all that's going on. Keith Olbermann and Dan Patrick, the world of sports covered. Doc Gooden was on the mound tonight. Playoffs, the push being made. Lakers, Celtics included in that for the NBA playoffs. The Tart got hired again today, but it's pro ball this time around. All coming up right after our ball game on Sports Center. No, we haven't seen Ricky trying to run here tonight. See if that changes here. Lance Blankenship up.
I have to think it's one of 2 things. Either Ricky's legs aren't feeling too good tonight, A, or B, he, like a lot of base runners in the American League, have a lot of respect for Mike McFarland, who is an excellent throwing catcher. Fewer runners have tried to steal with McFarland catching over the past 3 years than any other catcher in baseball.
That's a compliment, isn't it?
Yeah, it's also a testimony to the fact that the Kansas City pitchers, a lot of them have learned how to use that slide step, and they're getting the ball to the plate a lot quicker. But Johnson didn't feature it there, and if Ricky saw that, his eyes might have lit up just a little bit.
May Latchman getting the sign from the dugout to give to Lance Blankenship here. Blankenship just staring down at third, waiting.
One thing that Pat Dobson, when he was a pitching coach here with Kansas City, taught the troops. He taught them the value of that slide step, and that really puts a damper on the running game.
1 ball, no strikes. Henderson back. Against McFarland last year, base stealers 55% successful. Whenever you get down in this day and age, anywhere around 50% success at throwing people out, you've done a good job as a catcher.
Major League average is about 33%. That stays true pretty much year in and year out.
1-0 the count. Stepped off. Ricky leans back, now walks back. A battle here between Joel Johnston and Ricky Henderson while Blankenship waits at the plate.
Yeah, McFarland gives an awful lot of credit to what he considered his mentor, Bob Boone. He said Boone taught him about mental toughness, call any pitch at any time, have the confidence you can block it.
Hit and run on. Henderson running, foul back.
Ricky had a humongous jump. Some veteran number 2 hitters, and I wouldn't put Blankenship in that category, would see out of the corner of the eye the kind of jump that Ricky had, and they might just swing through that pitch. Ricky 1 foot out on the carpet. Boom. He's got a huge jump. Blankenship fouls it off.
Ricky is 2 for 3 stealing second base and 1 for 1 stealing third this season. Is 3 for 4 overall. 1 ball, 1 strike, not going. Squared to bunt, took it. And missed up high with it. The signs continue to be given here.
Well, they showed bunt there. I think they go back to a running game on this pitch. Rene Latchman staring in at Tony La Russa. I always think of what Ellis Clary said. He said baseball technology is not kept up with science. He says we can get signals from the moon back to the earth, but we can't get them relayed from the third base coaching box to home plate and to first base.
Toughest 90 feet of communications there is right there. 2-1. Ricky's going. Hit and run on right up the middle. Base hit. Henderson makes the turn. He's on his way to third. Miller will throw it into second base. And there are runners on at the corners now as Blankenship delivers a hit, his first hit of the game. And nobody out here in the 8th inning. 2 on against Johnston.
Rusty Meacham starting to throw. Just called up when Luis Aquino went on the disabled list with a sore shoulder. getting a little sparse. Meacham, next to last guy, and they don't want to use Montgomery unless they can get a lead. I'll tell you what, you look at this score sheet, Gary, it's going to be pretty tough to beat the Oakland A's when Ricky Henderson gets on base 5 times in a row.
Wow. Amazingly, he's only scored once, and that was when he hit the home run. That's probably the most unusual part of that fact. Now it's Jose Canseco. The only person without a hit in the lineup now is Carney Lansford. He's contributed, though, with a walk, hit into a fielder's choice, and scored a run in this game. Everybody else has had at least one. The A's have 13 hits in the game. Canseco, his 5th home run of the year. There's the wild pitch. Ricky's going to score standing up, and it's a 9-6 lead. Well, he could have, but he slid. Down to second base goes Blankenship. Wild pitch on Johnston.
And I believe Hal McRae's seen enough. He's made the call. So Johnson, who started off the year well for the Royals, has not pitched too well of late. And Hal McRae is going to take a look at the newly acquired Rusty Meacham to see what he can show him.
Boy, this night is turning into a nightmare for Hal McRae and the Royals. To have a 6-1 lead and then have all that's happened since just puts pain and agony onto what was already the 1-7 mark on the year. McRae out to get him. Ricky Henderson.
The San Diego Padres, but Matt Williams with 2 aboard sends this one out to right center field. Darren Jackson after it, but it drops in there off the screen. Willie McGee comes in to score. Will Clark follows him, and it's a 3-2 lead for San Francisco in the 6th. Gary and Dave.
Trying to get their record to 500. They are 3-4, and also trying to beat us and finish their game before we do, which they may do. Hey, we got another pitcher, Dave.
You see Rusty Meacham's numbers with the Tigers last year. Came over here in the offseason. Sinker ball pitcher. Al McRae was talking about him yesterday, and he thought he'd throw a sinker to Jose. Pretty good rip, Jose.
Rusty Meacham at 24 years old. Boy, these numbers start to look alike. Another guy, 4 years in the minors before he ever got a chance last year at the major league level.
And our 5th consecutive $109,000 ball player.
And Canseco delivers another base hit. Keith Miller will play it in, and Blankenship will stop at third. Canseco now a home run and 3 singles. He has an 8-game hitting streak going. And with his hits here tonight, he's now picked up 9 hits in 25 at-bats against the Royals this year, including 3 home runs. Kansas City will be happy to have the series over with this club. 9-6 lead for the A's. Mark McGwire, his hit, a single in the 7th and a run scored. $14 hits now for the A's. 1 run already in here in the 8th inning. Blankenship the responsibility of Johnston. Meacham gets McGwire to foul it off. 0-2.
You see the difference. Notice in 1992 how much more he's towed in with that front foot. That's one change.
Left center field. McRae moves over. And McGuire's going to get a sacrifice fly on an RBI as Blankenship crosses for the 2nd run in this inning. And it is a 10-6 A's lead.
Watch the swing now. Just quicker through the strike zone right now. He's using his hands a lot better. And Mark McGwire now in a total of 30 at-bats this year has not struck out. This is a guy that strikes out about 120 times a year, and with 0-2 he still fought it off to get an RBI.
And Mark McGwire now has picked up 10 RBIs on the season. He leads the Oakland Ball Club in runs batted in, tied with Canseco in home runs with 5. Carney Lansford doesn't want to be left out of this hit parade, so he's going to try and join it right here with a runner on at first base. Canseco, 1 out, 1-1 count on him.
Well, that pretty much says what we did say. 116 strikeouts 2 years in a row, none so far this year. So not only driving the ball with more authority, but making much better contact. Well, it's a lot more fun to come to the ballpark when you're swinging the bat well than it was. That had to be a long year for McGuire last year.
Jeffries for one. The relay not nearly in time, and Joyner had to get out of the way. Took the throw in foul territory. They get the out at second base. Forced play on Canseco. Goes 5-4 to Shumpert. Fielder's choice for Carney Lansford.
Yeah, a lot of people might interpret the fact that McGuire and Doug Rader have made kind of a thing about not talking about the changes, but I don't really think it's a sign of aloofness in Mark McGuire. No, I think what he wants to do is put up some solid numbers. If he continues at this pace throughout the season, I think he'd be very happy to talk about it. He's great with the media, no problem at all with Mark as far as that goes, especially with us at ESPN at least. But I think it's just one of those things. He wants to go about his job and really know in his own mind that he's turned the corner and getting back to what he has done in the past. I mean, anybody can hit well for a week or have a good spring training and hit for a week.
Willie Wilson takes it outside, 1-1. I agree completely, David. It fits in with exactly what he said to us before, that he listened to too many people last year. He didn't have any concentration on what he was doing at the plate. So now that he's got it, he doesn't want to interfere with that by talking about what he's doing. And he'll be readily available to everybody.
Doesn't want to write an article in the Scientific American right now. He just wants to see the ball and swing the bat.
Fouled off. 1 ball, 2 strike count with 2 down. Sports Center's coming along here on ESPN, bringing you up to date on all the day's activities in all of sports, including all the baseball scores and highlights, the NBA games, the hockey games being played as they get set for the playoffs in the NHL. Grounded to second. Shumpert will go to Wilkerson, the shortstop, for the force out. But here in the 8th inning, the A's have added 2 more, and their comeback continues. They are now up by 4. I'm a firm believer in the long season that Major League Baseball is, but the Royals lose here tonight. They go 1-8, and even though it's early, there's got to be some serious concern.
Yeah, I think especially the way they're losing tonight. I mean, they had a 6-1 lead. They just ran crazy on the base pass. They did everything that Hal McRae wanted them to do. Kind of just took it to the Oakland A's, and all of a sudden, boom, a couple of home runs, and the Royals bullpen collapsed. Kind of funny, though. I mean, last night the A's snatched defeat from the jaws of victory, and tonight it's just the opposite. I mean, it's a game that looked like the Royals had wrapped up. It ain't over till, man, you know all those cliches.
And true, and Hal McRae hopes the truth will bear itself out here, but they're running out of chances. Terry Shumpert will lead it off. He will be followed by McRae and Jeffries at the top of the order. Shumpert has contributed. The 2 RBIs on a double came in the 4th inning, and he's going to contribute again. He gets the leadoff single. Ricky Henderson gets it back in, this time in a hurry. Shumpert is on. Mike Kingery is now in right field for Brocious.
Center fielder.
Defensive change made by Tony La Russa. 11 hits in the game now for the Royals, but they are down by 4.
I don't know it for sure, but if I were guessing the last Royal that hit for the cycle, I'd guess George Brett, but I don't have that note in front of me. McRae needs a homer to do it.
He got the real tough one out of the way in the 3rd. His first hit a triple, single in the 4th, double in the 6th. His average still being built upon as he came into this game really struggling at the plate. 147. He's up from 6-7 when he started this game. Two-strike count on him. The left-hander, 25-year-old Vince Horseman, on in relief. The 5th pitcher. No, I was right the first time. 4th pitcher used in this game by the A's.
More than likely not the last.
No, more than likely not the last. Horseman last year at Knoxville with Toronto's minor league club, 4-1, 4 games with Toronto. That was it. He only worked 4 innings with the Blue Jays, a couple of hits. So Horseman, the Canadian native who had gotten drafted, obviously the Montreal-Toronto franchises try and get some Canadian players on their rosters. He was one of them, but that did not work out. 1-2 to McRae. Inside, 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Looked like Larry Barnett was going to pump it up. Well, our erstwhile eager Beavers in the truck looked up the Royals press guide, and it was George Brett. July 25th, 1990 at Toronto. That's not a real easy ballpark to hit for the cycle either. That's not a real good triples park.
McRae, who needs the home run, won't get it here. They get the double play. Bordick over, Blankenship's relay, 2 down. That'll take care of that rally in a hurry. John Saunders.
Another one is done. The Mariners and the White Sox. Ken Griffey Jr. here. This one had an hour and 20-minute rain delay, gentlemen. This shot is a 2-run home run. Jeff Schaefer also with a 2-run home run. And then Pete O'Brien with long ball as well. And yes, yet another game that goes into the books before yours is done. Let's get back to Kansas City.
Yeah, rub it in.
John, just remember one thing. You got to stay there as long as we do.
2 down. And the pitch is taken down low by Jeffrey. So there, John Saunders. Pizza's getting cold. 1-0 count. 10-6 lead for the A's. Vince Horseman missing on that one, but he has 2 down. He got the ground ball for the double play.
We have not seen a highlight of the Tribe Tiger game tonight. I mean, 8 runs for the Bengals and nobody went deep.
To short. Mike Bordick. And he faces only 3. Jeffries quietly retired. He's taking an 0 for tonight. RBI came in a sacrifice fly, and we're going to go to the 9th with the A's up 10-6. And there you see the save leaders since '69 with Quisenberry on top. Hall of Famer now, Mr. Fingers at 233. Righetti, Lyle, Dennis Eckersley, who we may very well still get to see here tonight. Henke and Gossage, who's still in the game, and also with the Oakland A's, the Goose. That one to left field. Keith Miller. And we've got one away. Mike Kingery going after the first pitch in his first at bat.
One thing Quisenberry also had was a great sense of humor. One time a writer asked him about a home run ball they gave up. He said, hey, it was still a sinker. It's just that the first bounce was 380 feet away.
That's right. Sports Center coming right along. Hang in with us here. As soon as this one is complete, you caught up on what happened in the sports world today on Sports Center. Right after our ball game here in Kansas City. 1-0 count. Interesting news on the Tark the Sharks signing today as he goes to the NBA. A lot of coaching moves this past week around college basketball and now in the pros. Mike Bordick got his single in the 7th inning. His average now at 387. He's off to a good start. Also has drawn a walk, couple of walks. One of them scored on it here. Be out of play.
Well, I don't know if Rusty Meacham has enough stuff to win over here, but McRae's got to like the fact that youngsters coming in and throwing strikes. And that's one thing. He got a little disgusted, I think, with Joel Johnston, who had Ricky Henderson 0-2 and then walked him. And then Ricky came around to score.
Towards short this time. Wilkerson makes the running throw over to Wally Joyner, and they're 2 down. Dave and I were just mentioning Ricky Henderson's the 4th man due up. He's been on base all 5 times in this game that he's come to the plate. Will he get a chance to be 6 for 6 and on base? Heeman's going to have to get on to keep his at bat alive.
Must be wonderful to have that kind of talent to go out and kind of make a play that I'm sure Ricky would admit wasn't one of his best hustling plays, kind of turning the other cheek on a ground ball base hit, watching Keith Miller steam into second, but I'd say Ricky has atoned for it.
A 3-run homer, his 2nd of the year, and the 5th did a lot of that. Heeman fouls it off, single and a double, and a couple of double plays for it. They started out like a house of fire with the 2 hits. Last 2 times up, 6-4-3, then 4-6-3.
Well, I don't want to sound like I'm jumping on the bandwagon because I was talking about this earlier, but I think Ricky's going to have a humongous year this year. I think the talk he had with La Russa and the fact that La Russa basically told him, hey, Ricky, you got 2 more years to go in this contract, but you've got a lot of goals left in Major League Baseball. And if you don't put up Ricky Henderson type numbers, hey, the big bucks aren't going to be there.
Boy, he could have one more whopping contract. 0-2 delivery. Outside corner strike. Ricky won't get his chance. As Heeman is a strikeout victim, Meacham getting it. So the Kansas City Royals get their final shot, bottom of the ninth coming.
And we'll be along following this game if it ever comes to an end. They will have SportsCenter with all the day's scores and highlights. And we want to remind you, on Sunday Night Baseball with John Miller and Joe Morgan, it will be the Braves and the Dodgers. Right now, back to Kansas City.
The company was just so good, we asked that this game be extended as long as possible because we wanted you to be there. And you were. Bottom of the ninth inning, 10-6. The A's on top. 10-14-1 for the A's. 6-11-0 for the Royals. And Wally Joyner leading it off here in the bottom of the ninth inning.
By the way, am I allowed to answer a question you asked me a week ago tonight?
You can remember it, please.
The answer is no.
Okay.
And the question was, do you think they're expanding the strike zone? Do you think they're trying to speed up the games? Huh. Yeah, I think they're trying to speed up the games. Are they expanding the strike zone? No.
I agree. I thought they were for a couple of games, and since then, not so. Joyner will get a base hit. Wally Joyner continues his big night. He, like Ricky, has been on every time up. 3 singles, a double, and a walk. So he's 5 for 5 in on-base percentage tonight, 1,000.
Tony La Russa has Dennis Eckersley well rested. He will not let this one go too long before you see number 43 gracing the mound. Eckersley has not pitched since last Friday night against the White Sox.
Horseman came on in the 7th inning. Couple of hits off him. Got a 10-6 lead to work with. 12 hits on the board now for the Royals. Kevin McReynolds, the 0 for tonight. 3 fly balls and a ground out. The 6th inning, bases loaded. And he came up and they stayed that way on the fly ball out.
Of course, La Russa would love to get it out here and leave Horseman on to face the left-handed hitting George Brett. If McReynolds reaches, then Tony's got to scratch his head a little bit. Brett has good numbers lifetime against Eckersley.
Thence Horseman's pitch to short. Bordick to Blankenship, and what a bad night for Kevin McReynolds. Wow. He came up in the 1st inning, a runner at 2nd, and grounded out. He came up with a runner on in the 3rd inning at 1st, flied out. Came up in the 4th inning with a runner on and flied out. Came up with the bases loaded in the 6th inning and flied out. The 9th inning, a runner on, and he hits into a double play. Ooh. 2 down. So the A's about to put away their 7th win. They're going to go 7-2. The Kansas City Royals are going to go 1-8. They had a 6-1 lead, the Royals did, and lost it. And that home runs in this game. Canseco is 5th. Ricky Henderson is 2nd. Canseco has 2 RBIs in the game. Henderson has picked up 3. Willie Wilson a big RBI in the 7th. Scott Brois had 2 RBIs in the 7th inning on a hit. Parrott will be the winner to go 3-0. Magnotti will be the loser, 0-1. Horseman a save opportunity. And it will be his first save. His pitch misses down low. 3 balls and 1 strike on Brett. Three ball, 1 strike count, 2 down. Brett the 0 for 4 and a .233 average on the year. Takes the big cut, and it's 3-2.
Not quite sure, but there's definitely a statistical correlation between double play balls and left-handed and right-handed pitchers. Left-handers throw a lot more than the right-handed. Maybe it's because they pulled the ball to the left side, I don't know, or maybe it's that natural sinker they show.
This ball game is history. Horseman, a great job coming on in relief, gets his first save. And the Oakland A's, a magnificent comeback as they beat the Royals 10-6, a devastating loss for KC. For Dave Campbell and all of our crew here in Kansas City, this is Gary Thorne saying so long from Royals Stadium. The A's have won it 10-6. SportsCenter is coming up next. Good night, everybody.